State Affordable Housing is taking place this evening and tomorrow in Rochester, so it made sense to run the meeting out of Buffalo today. I'd like to start by acknowledging our commissioner's birthday this weekend.
I mean, it's highly unnecessary. Thank you.
So all of the offices should have received a box of cinnamon rolls, fresh, warm, hot cinnamon rolls. I was trying to draw some analogy to cinnamon rolls to Ruth Ann. I couldn't come up with anything appropriate. I kept going to cinnamon buns, and I decided that would not be appropriate. So I just want to say happy birthday, but not only that, to say thank you for all that you do for the agency and for what all of the staff does for the state and for the people of the state of New York. So thank you for that. And
thank you.
Happy birthday. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. So a couple other quick things before we jump in. So we had talked about a board education session. We haven't forgotten about that. We're going to loop back to get something together. It's really all about timing, but we have a couple of new board members, so I think it would be appropriate to get that going, and we'll follow up. I'd also like to announce that we're going to create an innovation committee, and the purpose of that is still sort of in formation, but James McIntyre is going to chair that. And without getting into the details at this point, I think what I'd like to say is if there's anyone who's interested in participating in the innovation committee, if you could just please contact me and let me know, we'll follow up separately on getting that going. Also, we're going to try something new. It may not be in the October meeting, but we're going to look to try to set aside some time at the end of the board meetings for some board discussion, time permitting, of course. But given the nature of these boards, we're going to be kind of careful about how and what we discuss, and also to make sure that the staff have plenty of time to prepare. So, for example, Christy called me yesterday, and we talked about a couple of items that might be a benefit to the board to discuss. So it's that sort of thing that we'll kind of look at. We want to be able to prepare in advance. It's not going to be an impromptu discussion. It's going to be choreographed, only just given the nature of the work that we do and the open meetings laws. But if you have discussion items that you'd like to put on the table for future discussion, please contact me directly, and we'll kind of work through how we initiate this. If not in October, then in November. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the commissioner to. Oh, do we have to open?
We have to open up. Yeah.
Open the meeting. So Will, who would open the meetings?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. To begin, we note the following. We are joined by Jesse Olzak, representing the Director of the Budget, Chris Curtis, representing the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance, and we expect to shortly be joined by David Gonzalez, representing the Secretary of State, participating via video conference from the Division of the Budget's Conference Center at the Capitol Building, room 131 in Albany. We are joined by B. Gonzalez, participating via video conference from HCR's office in Syracuse at 320 West Erie Boulevard, Suite 312. And we are joined by Hope Young Watkins, also Chairman Weiss and Commissioner Wisnauskas participating via video conference from HCR's office in Buffalo at Electric Tower, 535 Washington Street, Suite 105. In accordance with the Open Meetings Law, notice of our locations has been made public. The public has the right to attend and observe the proceedings from these locations. We will now do a roll call for each of the meetings and use those votes as items are considered unless a board member indicates an intent to vote differently or a need to recuse. Starting with the meetings of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the Affordable Housing Corporation, and the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings. This motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Now ask for individual votes from the members of the HFA board, the AHC board, and the HTFC board, starting with Chairman Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Wisnauskas.
Aye.
Mr. Olzak,
Aye.
Mr. Curtis,
Aye.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre,
Aye.
Ms. McEwen,
Aye.
Ms. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Young-Watkins.
Aye.
To open the meeting of the HFA Finance and Program Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion, second. To open the meetings of the HFA Audit Committee, the AHC Audit Committee, the HTFC Audit Committee, as well as the HFA Governance Committee, the AHC Governance Committee, and the HTFC Governance Committee. I ask for motions and second to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings.
So moved.
Second. For individual votes of each committee member, we'll accept the previous votes. These meetings are officially open. Now to open the meeting of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
Second.
So moved.
Thank you. I'll now ask for individual votes from the members of the SONYMA board, starting with Chairman Weiss,
Aye.
Commissioner Wisnauskas,
Aye.
Mr. Olzak,
Aye.
Mr. Freeman,
Aye.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Capel,
Aye.
Ms. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Peel.
Aye.
Thank you. To open the meeting of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Second, okay. And to open the meeting of the SONYMA Audit Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
And to open the meeting of the SONYMA Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
For individual votes of each committee member, we'll accept the previous vote. These meetings are officially over. And finally, to open the meetings of the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I'll ask for individual votes from each member of the MBBA board and the TSFC board, starting with Chairman Weiss,
Aye.
Mr. Olzak.
Aye.
We don't have Mr. Gonzalez yet, is that correct? Okay,
Correct. He's not here.
okay. Ms. Miller,
Aye.
and we don't have Mr. Sanford. Okay. To open the meetings of the MBBA Audit Committee and the TSFC Audit Committee, ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings.
So moved.
So moved.
Second. And to open the meetings of the MBBA Governance Committee and the TSFC Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meetings.
So moved.
For the individual votes of each committee member, we'll accept the previous votes. Now all the meetings are officially open. Turn it back to you, Chairman.
Great. Thanks, Will. The second, well, I guess first item on the agenda is the report of the commissioner. So I'll turn it over to Commissioner Wisnauskas.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. It's always, it's nice to see you all and always unusual to see you in Lex on video because we can't really see you that great, but it's nice to see you all and to be here. I hope everybody had a good summer. It was a very big time for us. I'm going to, busy time for us. I will be brief because there is a lot on the agenda, but as all of the multifamily deals come through the agency for approval, so they also start construction and then henceforth they finish and people live there. So there were many ribbon cuttings this summer, including just since this was June, July, and August, we had them in Buffalo, in Schenectady, in Trumansburg, in Brooklyn, in Rochester, in Saratoga Springs, and in Utica. Not every deal we do does a ribbon cutting, but those were some of the ones that myself and other staff went to. We also were up in Syracuse this past Monday doing, Monday, 2 days ago, doing an event with the governor that will be some sort of press on it next week, and we're really excited. We'll come back in October and talk a little bit about some of the single family work that we have been doing on the innovative side of things. As Steve had mentioned, we are up here for the NYSAFA Upstate Conference up in Rochester this year. Many of the staff are headed up to Rochester today to be on panels. Tomorrow it is a great event. There's, I think, 580 attendees. It's completely sold out, and we'll be talking about all our bread and butter work, but also all the new programs, innovations, challenges in the industry, of which there are many. As folks may remember, we last year in the budget, we doubled the amount of state low-income housing credits. So we'll be talking about how we have implemented, we'll continue to implement things that come through the governor's budget. And then lastly, I was just going to touch on Section 8, because I think Board Member Peel had asked at the meeting, we made a request to talk about Section 8. So, as folks had seen, sort of in the budget process has now been going on for quite some time, and we are headed into a, hopefully not a government shutdown timing, but the federal budget is certainly back up in the news again. There had been conversations about block granting a lot of Section 8, about combining all the programs, about obviously drastically reducing the budget. Those things didn't come through in the House or the Senate budget, which was great, although we remain, concerned about funding levels, because for Section 8, even when funding is flat, it is a cut because costs go up, and therefore we can serve less people. The House and Senate budgets also didn't include additional funding for the emergency housing voucher program, which is a voucher we run at the HFC along with the City of New York housing agencies do as well. And that program is supposed to be funded through 2030, and it was the program sort of ran out of money, and it is now ending at the end of 2026. And so we are working very closely with those households to transition them off of EHV and onto a different subsidy source. We are also watching, there has been sort of the way the administration communicates some of their changes isn't always so official, but there has been some news coming out of HUD around mixed status households that receive Section 8 assistance. We haven't received any request on that or anything specific on that. So for that, we sort of remain, as everyone else is, sort of watching it for changes that might come out that are more formalized, and we'll obviously have spent time internally thinking about and planning for that. But since it hasn't happened, there's not much to report on that front. Obviously, it's going to be busy as we go into this next period of time where the budget is going to be very much front and center in the news, or at least for those of us wonky enough to follow that stuff, very much front and center. So I suspect we'll be back next month with more of an update on where things are there. And with that, I'll send it back to you.
Great, thanks. Thank you.
Can I just
Chairman.
ask, Ruth Ann, can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
Can you define what a mixed status household is?
Sorry. Yes. So you can be living in and this is my, someone else probably might give a better technical definition, but you can be receiving federal benefits as let's say living in a public housing unit. If you have citizenship status, but if you have family members, your mother, your child, your brother who do not, they can live there as well, but they don't receive the federal benefit. So they get what's called sort of a prorated benefit. So the federal government provides the benefit to the citizen and not to the members who are not, in the case of something like a public housing apartment. There has been discussion about removing the eligibility for citizens to receive those benefits if in fact like mixed status members of their household are, in the case of like a housing unit, living in that housing also.
So if you were a family of 4 and only one is a citizen, you would get benefits for a family of 1 instead of a family of 4. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Well said.
Okay.
Yes.
My other question, you said that even when Section 8 is flat, it's a decrease because costs increase. Does that mean that you can't increase rents, or that you just can't add new vouchers in the program?
Yes. So we have, somewhat consistent over the years attrition in the program. And so when we get budget cuts, we generally manage that by not issuing new vouchers and just letting the program attrit down.
Thank you. Helpful.
Yep.
Great, thank you. Okay, next item, number 2, the approval of the prior meetings minutes, absent any corrections or modifications. Will?
These are deemed approved. I will note for the record too that we've been joined by Professor Ford, and can I just get your vote for items on the second agenda? Thank you.
Yes, a little rusty on the board meeting. So they're deemed approved absent any corrections. Okay, next item 3 is discussion item, the CDBG economic development, and the presentation this morning by Crystal Loeffler, Office of Community Renewal. Crystal?
Thank you. Our Office of Community Renewal makes $15 million in CDBG funding available in an open round application for CDBG eligible economic development development activities. This month, we are advancing $800,000 in funding recommendations for microenterprise programs. These include a $300,000 award for Franklin County, a $200,000 award for the town of Bethlehem, a $300,000 award increase to allow Livingston County to continue its local program. These proposed awards are expected to assist 40 micro businesses. Full details are in the memo and briefing sheets. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks, Crystal. Any questions? Will?
Now before the HTFC board is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
Great, thank you. Item 4, New York State Community Development Block Grant, imminent threat. Crystal?
Thank you. OCR has combined the CDBG vacant property clearance activity with an existing activity referred to as imminent threat. The idea is to offer a single open funding opportunity to support projects that require urgent action to address local health and safety issues. This month, we're requesting approval for a $1 million award to Wayne County. The funding will be used to assist in the environmental remediation and demolition costs to clear a vacant and structurally unsound structure at 165 Water Street in Lyons, New York. Details are in the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Crystal. Any questions?
I had a quick question. Who's the owner of the building?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Who is the owner of the building?
It's currently a privately owned building, and the community is choosing to support because of the excessive costs related to asbestos and environmental remediation to take it down.
Okay.
Thanks. Anything else? Will?
Now before the HTFC board, a resolution transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 5, HTFC, seeker resolutions. Lori Shirley, Supervisory Environmental Analyst, will make the presentation.
Good morning, board members. Today, I'm recommending that the School 44 project in Buffalo, New York be classified as an unlisted action and a negative declaration be made pursuant to seeker. This project includes the new construction of 12 townhomes, along with the adaptive reuse of a former school for a total of 77 residential units at 1349 Broadway in Buffalo, Erie County, and 14 adjacent vacant parcels. The project is also applying for federal historic tax credits for the adaptive reuse of the school. No unmitigated adverse environmental impacts were found in staff's review of the project. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Any questions? Will?
Okay, this is before the HTFC board. Resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
I will note just for the record that board member Young Watkins has recused herself from that vote.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Item 6, grant agreements for the IDA Affordable Housing Resiliency Initiative Program projects, and Rachel Weeder, Deputy Commissioner of the Office of Resilient Homes and Communities, will make the presentation. Morning, Rachel.
Hello, good morning. So we are seeking authorization to award 2 projects in our multifamily program for Hurricane Ida's CDBG DR, that's disaster recovery grant that we received from HUD. Both projects are for not to exceed of $3 million. The first is with Sisters of Charity, HDC. It's Vincent Village in Rockland County, and they are looking to improve the building with solar generators, battery storage, and we would be funding the full amount they're asking. It's 92 units at 80% AMI for all the units. The other project is for the Terrytown PHA. This is going to be a RAD conversion, a full demolition and rebuild of the building. There's currently 70 units. They're proposing 90 units. The measures that this program would be paying for are for flood mitigation purposes, raised floors, raised mechanicals, underground electrical wires, backflow valves, and insulation. Any questions on either project?
No, just a comment that I used to be on the Municipal Housing Authority Board in Tarrytown, so I need to recuse myself from this one.
One question, do you know if they're monetizing the battery, the resiliency project? Are they like doing peak shaving or anything around them or working with utility? I don't know what size battery they're installing, but.
I am not sure.
Okay.
I can look into it.
Great, thank you. Will?
Ms. Miller.
What is the definition of affordable here?
Yes, let's see. So for the Sisters of Charity HDC project, it is all units at 80% AMI. And for the Tarrytown PHA, it must be similar. It's out of the 90 units, 84 are below 80% AMI, 2 units between 81 and 120% AMI. And there are 4 vacant units.
Thank you.
Sure.
Will?
Okay, now before the HTFC board, our resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion is carried.
morning.
Oh, yes. And noting
Good morning,
the
everybody.
recusal.
Just, for the record, David Gonzalez appearing for the Secretary of State for MBBA.
Yes,
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Good morning.
Mr. Gonzalez, can I just get your I vote for the meetings?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
next
so the
item.
resolutions are carried, the motion is carried, the resolutions are adopted for item 6. Now to item 7.
Thanks. Well, item 7, Center for New York City Neighborhoods, up to 17.8 million, and Enterprise Community Partners up to 45.2 million to assist the RHC Resilient Homes and Communities in the administration of the Blue Buffers program. And Rachel, you're up again.
Hi. So yes, we are seeking authorization to award these 2 nonprofit organizations the amounts that were just said for the administration of the voluntary flood buyout program, Blue Buffers. We released a notice of funding availability in the summer of 2024 and came to the board for authorization to make an award to the Nature Conservancy with the Center for New York City Neighborhoods as a sub-grantee to the Nature Conservancy. We were unable to get into contract with the Nature Conservancy due to their inability to move quickly and get internal authorizations at their organization to take in the capital funds and administrative funds for the program. So we are seeking to award the Center for New York City Neighborhoods as a prime for the scope and budget that they had applied for under the Nature Conservancy. We then released a second notice of funding availability this past summer and received a qualified application from Enterprise Community Partners and are seeking authorization to award with Enterprise also as a prime subrecipient for the remainder of the work. Any questions on this? Yes.
I have a question. It looks like a significant amount of administrative money compared to the amount of capital funds.
Yeah.
Is there a specific reason why the administration is so high? If you
Yes.
could explain, that would be helpful.
Yep, absolutely. So the total budget for the program is $250 million in capital funds. The amounts that are going through these 2 nonprofit organizations are smaller. It's for the program delivery expenses to be able to do due diligence for real estate closings and then demolition of structures. The vast amount of the capital money, HTFC will be issuing directly to sellers, homeowners at the closing table. And so that money does not need to go through these two nonprofit organizations. So it does appear to be a large amount of administrative funds, but the total budget is 25.5 million in administrative and 250 million in capital. Yes.
Yeah, it's still a significant number in terms of administrative funds.
Okay.
At some point, are we going to see a breakdown of how those funds are being used?
Yes, we can provide that. Mhm.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Will?
This item is before the HTFC board. A resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Great, thank you, Rachel. Item 8, 2024 9% multifamily RFP awards. This is a list of 5 projects that we'll discuss, and Brett Hebner, VP Multifamily Finance, will make the presentation.
Good morning. Yes, 5 projects we're presenting to the board today to approve the subsidy awards that were made in conjunction with the 2024 9% low-income housing tax credit RFP. These awards were made in March, and all but one of the 28 awards that were made had previously been presented to the board. We're planning on bringing that one award to a future meeting once we resolve some issues there. But I'll walk through the 5 descriptions of the projects, and please feel free to interject with any questions. The first is CDS Monarch, CDS Van Buren Apartments, the new construction of a 70-unit mixed income project in a well-resourced area in the town of Van Buren, Onondaga County. The project will have 3 buildings and a unit mix of 21 bedrooms, 3 2-bedrooms, and 23 bedroom units. As you may know, well-resourced area projects are located in areas of high-performing schools and low poverty and required to have a minimum average bedroom size per unit of 2 bedrooms per unit. The project has a supportive component as well, as 14 units will be set aside for homeless veterans. 8 units will have Section 8 vouchers through the Syracuse Housing Authority. And the total development cost here is $29 million. Sources include $13 million in low-income housing tax credits, $4.7 million in state low-income housing credits, an $8 million new construction program award. Community Preservation Corp will provide a perm loan of $2.3 million, $250,000 from Onondaga County, and a $200,000 grant from the Wolf Foundation. Our next project is Conifer's Port Jefferson Commons, the new construction of a 53-unit workforce opportunity project, which means a transit-oriented project. It's located 1 block from the Long Island Railroad Station, the village of Port Jefferson in Suffolk County. It consists of 33 one-bedroom and 20 two-bedroom apartments. The project includes a set-aside for 5 units for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, supported by operating subsidies from OPWDD. The project also includes 2,400 square feet of storefront commercial space and a 60-space parking garage. It's actually adjacent to Port Jefferson Crossing, a recently developed 9% project also by Conifer. The total development cost here is $35.8 million, with a combined tax credit equity of $18.5 million, 2 subsidy awards, Housing Trust Fund award of $5.9 million, and a Community Investment Fund award of $900,000. Community Development Trust is providing a permanent loan of $4.9 million. Empire State Development Restore New York program of $2 million. Suffolk County is contributing $1.8 million, and deferred developer fee and an equity contribution totaling $1.7 million there. Risewell Community Services, Inc. Our next project is Van Cortlandt Avenue Apartments. This is new construction of a 12-story, 78-unit integrated supportive housing project in Bedford Park neighborhood of Bronx. 47 of these units will serve individuals with serious mental illness, including 17 homeless units supported by the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, or ESHI subsidies, and 30 of the 47 will be supported by New York State Office of Mental Health, or OMH, capital and operating subsidies through their supported SRO program. The unit mix consists of 50 studio apartments, 18 one-bedroom, and 9 two-bedroom apartments. The total development cost here is $54.8 million, with a LIC equity of $26 million, 2 subsidy awards, first being Supportive Housing Opportunity Program award of $9.55 million and a new construction program award of $1.69 million. The OMH capital of $16.6 million will be taken out by a CPC perm loan with that debt service provided directly from OMH. Our next project is Rochester's Cornerstone Group's General Martin Apartments. It's a 63-unit adaptive reuse of a former school building consisting of 29 units and the new construction of an adjacent second building of 34 units in the town of Martinsburg in Lewis County. The applicant was selected as the designated developer of the site by the municipality. The unit mix consists of 2 studios, 55 one-bedrooms, and 6 two-bedroom apartments with a total development cost of $27.9 million, a combined tax credit equity of $18.4 million, a housing trust fund award, a subsidy award, $0.3 million. Merchants Capital has a perm loan of 1.4 and Inflation Reduction Act tax credit equity, which is still available through mid next year, of $1.2 million. Then lastly is Episcopal Community Housing Development Organization's St. Paul Apartments 2. This is a 52-unit senior project involving new construction of a building on vacant land in the village of Angola, Erie County. 16 units will be set aside for ESHI eligible seniors. The project is actually located adjacent to the first phase, which was a 16-unit project developed in 2003. 48 of the units will be one bedroom and the remaining 4 two-bedroom apartments. The total development cost here is $25.7 million with a combined $16 million in tax credit equity, a SHOP award of $4.1 million. OTDA's Homeless Housing and Assistance Program has a loan of $3.8 million in the project. Erie County is contributing $500,000 through their Home American Rescue Plan program. And the sponsor is loaning $750,000 through their Episcopal Church Home Foundation to the project.
Great, thank you, Brett. Any questions on any of the 5 projects?
Ms. Miller.
Yeah, I have a question about the Bronx project, Roswell. Who
Sure.
are the principals there and what is their experience?
Risewell is maybe more familiar with their previous name. Sorry, let me get to it in my notes here. It would help if I looked at the right thing. It would help if I printed out the right thing. Risewell was formerly called. Thanks. I'm trying to remember what Risewell was formerly known as. They have a sizable portfolio and experience, and I would love to tell you what that is.
Brett, we don't have to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
We can,
sorry, I would help you, Brett, but I don't know what they were called before.
we can
either. Sorry.
follow up. Joyce, we'll follow up after.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Mr. Freeman.
In relationship to the Port Jefferson site, where is that in relationship to the Hope House? That's on the south side?
To Hope House? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Hope House.
Okay. Because Hope House is the one that provides community services to disabled individuals, military personnel, and others right across from it. Because the picture that's in here now looks like the existing building that's there across from Hope House on the south side. So the new construction is the building behind it?
So the new construction is on a vacant parcel that's been cleared, and it's adjacent to the existing building. And maybe that's what you may be referring to. I'm not sure, but this was a something they've been working with the village of Port Jefferson for some time to develop both of these parcels adjacent to the railroad. I'm not familiar with where it is in relation to Hope House.
Anything else? Will?
Okay. I'll note that Ms. McEwen is recusing herself from this vote, and also the chairman is recusing himself solely with respect to the Port Jefferson Commons project.
just the Monarch and Risewell.
And Ms. McEwen is more specifically recusing herself with respect to Monarch and Risewell projects. So we will note that for the record. With that noted, this is before the HTFC board resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, just one thing. Excuse me. On the last question that was just asked by Mr. Freeman, can we, by the next board meeting, get some clarification on that?
I'm sorry, can you also say what the question was again? You were asking, can you just say it again? Not Mr. Ford's, Mr. Freeman's question.
Yes.
Yeah, I was asking where in relationship to the Hope House this particular site is, because the
Okay.
one that's in the picture is actually an existing site, and this is supposed to be on a place that's been cleared.
No, they're going to demolish, it says in the memo, they're going to demolish some existing buildings and put them and make new construction, but I'm not sure, you're referencing just sort of the aerial image in terms of the site, or the site address you think is the site of Hope House?
The aerial image and the actual picture that they have as the second one, because that's a corner property right across from the parking lot of the Long Island Railroad, and that's an existing structure already.
So they're proposing to do 1601 to 1605 Main Street. So you just want
Okay.
clarification on where Hope House is relative to the address of this project?
Right, they're gonna demolish all of the buildings behind the one that they actually have in the picture?
I think we could probably get you, Brett, we could probably provide a site, just sort of an outline on the map of what the site is, and we could send that along.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. My impression was that that this was actually an already cleared site, so apparently what I'm presenting here isn't that clear, or maybe inaccurate. I hope not, but I don't think so. But yeah, I'll certainly provide some information for you. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And on Risewell, I recalled that Risewell actually used to be known as Federation of Organizations, which is a primarily an OMH group from my experience there as the director of housing, and we've had multiple projects developed with Federation of Organizations, both Long Island and in New York City.
Thank you.
Okay, Chairman, that motion was carried and the resolution's adopted, and we're now on to item 9.
Okay, thank you, Will. So next item 9, Empire State Development Awards, and this is regarding 2 projects, and Brett, you are up again.
Sure. Empire State Development has requested that we administer funds on their behalf and associated with 2 9% projects that were previously presented and to the board. A total of $5.7 million across 3 different awards are being suballocated to HCR to be administered. The first project is associated with is Ovalwood Dish Factory. This is a 2022 round. The sponsor here is Housing Visions with some other partners, developing an 80-unit project, which is the adaptive reuse of a abandoned factory in the North Country in Franklin County. This is a huge priority for ESD. They have a number of sources in there in this project, rather, including Consolidated Funding Award of $1.9 million and Pro Housing Communities Fund of $3 million. There's substantial non-residential space involved in the project as well. The second is a $775,000 Pro Housing Communities Fund award towards Fernwood Avenue Apartments, Rochester Housing Authority's project that was presented to the board, I believe, in July with respect to the HCR subsidies. They're requesting that we administer this Pro Housing Communities Fund. This is a 65-unit new construction project in Rochester that involves also a library that will be constructed as a component of the project. And this $775,000 will be used towards the infrastructure-related development costs of the project.
Thanks, Brett. Questions?
Ms. Miller.
Yeah, I would simply point out that in the first paragraph of the description of the project, the last sentence reads, the combined total of the ESD awards to be administered is blank dollars.
Yeah.
In the following paragraph, you say 5.7 million, and it looks like 5.7 million, but if somebody could just correct the typo.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Anything else? Will?
I'll note for the record, the chairman is recusing himself solely with respect to the Ovalwood Dish Factory project. Now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 10, Cascade Acres, manufactured home community, town of North Elba, Essex County. Bert Blackman, Director of Distressed Asset Initiatives, will make the.
Hello, I'm Burke Blackman. No, hi, I'm sorry. Burke is actually ended up going on Lenny's bus tour of Rochester, which is super exciting. So I'm Madeline Fletcher, Vice President for Small and Mid-Sized Development, filling in. This is a request for $6.5 million in Manufactured Home Advantage Program subsidy for the acquisition of a 165-unit manufactured home community known as Cascade Acres in the town of North Elba, Essex County, which is just outside the village of Lake Placid. This is exciting because it would be the first use of agency subsidy to facilitate a right of first refusal purchase under Section 233A of the State Real Property Law, which provides manufactured homeowners in land lease communities the right to purchase their MHCs whenever the owner proposes to accept an offer to sell the community. So the 123 homeowners here have worked really diligently to exercise their right. They have worked with a nonprofit technical assistance provider to form a homeowners association. They engaged legal counsel. They reached out to us about potential financing options, and they delivered an executed offer to purchase to the owner on time under the provisions of the of 233A by the August deadline. So they've sort of been able to do everything on the super tight timeline that's set out in the law. So today is sort of the next step in this really huge undertaking. We're super excited about it. And rather than try to operate as a resident-owned community, they've elected to form an HOA and then assign their right to purchase to a local mission-driven preservation buyer who's led by a gentleman named Brandon Montag. The HOA and its members met extensively with Mr. Montag over a series of months and selected him as sort of their preferred partner. And he will be the owner-operator and the awardee here. In addition to an equity contribution from the borrower, the project has a lot of local support, both financially and morally, in the form of a commitment from the Village of Lake Placid for as much as $420,000. And Champlain National Bank, a local lender, has just issued a term sheet for a senior loan, approximately $1.6 million. So the timeline within the right of first refusal requires that they close by year end. And so we recommend approval of this acquisition only request to facilitate that time of closing for this exciting effort. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. Questions? Will?
Ms. Miller, yes.
Yeah, two things. One is that I assume by manufactured home here, you mean a variety of types of manufactured homes, judging by the pictures in the that are included here. I'd also point out that after the pictures, there's a rendering of two different types of buildings, which I believe apply to a different project and not this one.
I'm not sure. We'll pull up the map to see what you're looking at.
I don't see that, Joyce.
Page 145.
Yeah, it's for a 50-unit apartment building and a 10-unit walk-up building.
Okay. I'm not sure. Maybe something got mixed up in putting the book together.
Yeah, because that's not what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's not what we're seeing in our memo. Sorry.
We'll check it out.
Okay, we can check it
I
out.
just point out that it should be corrected. And in regard to my actual more substantive question,
Sure.
so there is a variety of types of manufactured homes in this project. Is that correct?
Well, there's
Judging
single
from the
wides and double
pictures, I
wides,
see
so-
different configurations.
Okay. So yeah, so some of the buildings that are in the photos are not homes, they're like community facilities, the mail room, public gathering space and that kind of thing. But all the homes are either single wides or double wides and meet the definition of a manufactured home, yeah.
Okay.
And they are all different, but that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely see a wide range in a lot of communities like this.
Yeah, there's another project here. I think this is a great opportunity for this community to take ownership.
Yes.
And control its own destiny and be able to access resources to make improvements. This is the least expensive form of affordable housing in the state. And to the extent that we can promote more of this type of housing, ensuring, of course, its resilience, its sustainability, all of the other benefits that the agency brings to communities. From my perspective, I'm excited to see this because it elevates a form of housing that is very inexpensive for the agency to support and provides home ownership in this case, in an environment where the cost to develop housing just keeps marching up. So I encourage the agency to do more of this type of work because it's not just home ownership, but it's critically lower cost, which means we could provide additional units. So that would be my comment.
Thanks. I would also say kudos to Madeline and her team who spend an enormous amount of time working with a lot of manufactured home communities across the state. And it's very hard to work with them. It's very hard to execute on this kind of a sort of transaction. And they really put in a lot of sort of hand-to-hand work to get these sort of communities done one by one. So thank you for the comment, Sadie, and kudos to Madeline and her team for getting this one over the finish line. Almost over the finish line.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well,
This is before the HTFC board. Resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 11, contract with Karma Advisory LLC for technology and operation support services. Amy Chan, Assistant Commissioner, will present this item. Amy? Morning.
I think we have Rachel filling in
Yep.
for Amy.
Or Rachel.
Hi, I'll take this one. Sorry about that. All right, so in the Office of Resilient Homes and Communities, we're seeking authorization to contract with Karma Advisory LLC for $1,147,744, a contract of 2 years with the ability to renew for 3 years, 3 additional years. These services are for technology and operations, as a lot of our Hurricane Sandy contracts were procured many years ago. We are losing some of those services, so we put out an RFP for procurement to bring on a new firm to help us finish up a lot of the operations and technology needed for our Hurricane Sandy grant, as well as our Hurricane Ida work, which is now starting up in full speed. And so we are seeking authorization to contract with this firm to do both of those things for us. They are a MBE firm, and so that full amount will be going to them. Any questions?
Thanks,
When
Rachel.
you say, pardon me, when you say it's an MBE firm?
Yeah.
Could you give us a little more detail on that?
What sort of detail?
Well, I don't know,
What else?
Is it black owned? Is it Latino home? What are we talking about here?
I know
Sorry, we couldn't hear the question. Just repeat the question.
What ethnicity what race and ethnicity is the firm owner? Is that the
MBE
question?
can take in a wide range of.
I actually didn't know that was classification, but I do know the owner of the firm because they were a subcontractor for our Hurricane Sandy work under a different contract. So I have worked with him. I believe he is Indian American. I could not say that for sure. Would you like me to find out and report back?
That would be fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, Will?
This is this item's before the HTFC board. Resolutions transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Next item 12, procurement compliance review report, and Hanim Babayeva, Vice President, Internal Audit, will make the presentation. Good morning, Hanim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am asking the approval of the internal audit report for compliance of the procurement function. We performed it this year. We selected this area because it's one of the largest expense units in our budget. At the same time, it was last audited more than 3 years ago. So we included it in our risk-based internal audit plan, and we performed this review. From the statistics we showed, you can see that, let's say, for the two-year scope, we selected from the 22 to 24. For each year, the spendings for contracts were around 31 to 34 million. Accordingly, and our selection totaled in 9.2 million contracts of different types. So we selected about 12 contracts to go over and see whether every, let's say, relevant procedure and the legislation was followed. We were satisfied with the level of compliance that department performs and the way how they follow the legislation, all the internal rules, and etc. At the same time, we recommended few improvements. One of the improvements we recommended is to limit sole source procurement, which is not very recommended type of the practice. Of course, when we are limited in our market of vendors, we can apply it. It's not against the law or procedure, but we recommend to monitor, to limit this, and to also to, let's say, have a contingency plan. Because if we depend on only one vendor for a long time, we become very, very like dependent on this specific vendor. We cannot, let's say, leverage the market, like a difference in the costs and etc. So it's like, it's not considered to be a transparent way of procuring things. So our first recommendation is to limit that. Second recommendations is about the monitoring of the existing vendors. So we realized that some portion of work about this is done, yeah, but it's not consistent across all agencies. So for SONYMA, it's done in a more extensive way. For other agencies, it's not consistent. So we recommend to make a consistent policy that for all vendors we are working with, to apply the same monitoring approach that is applied for SONYMA vendors. At the same time, there is a recommendation to update our existing contracts. Because most of them were like templates for the contracts with the vendors were created sometimes like decades ago. Yeah, and they do not consider some of the technological changes, data breach, let's say, incidents, and etc. So we recommend the templates for the current contracts to be more modernized and respond to the risks of the current era.
Can I ask a question? Sometimes when we go back decades in particular, things were much simpler. So how much more time and staff and money will the agency have to spend if you update the contract? Will it change the nature of the contracts? Will it make it more difficult to implement them? Or will it just, as you say, update things like insurance requirements or technology? I'm just trying to get a sense, recognizing that I've had this experience myself, where the best laid intentions sometimes lead to significant increases in inefficiency because we're complicating things more than when they were just simple.
Yes and no, because, for example, if I am a vendor and I'm interested in contracting with you and you put extra conditions in your contract that actually protects both of us in case of, let's say, event, like cybersecurity event, yeah? So it reduces both of our responsibility, why I would be against that. So as a normal vendor, as a vendor who wants to support both my business and your business, I should not be against this condition. If it's only for you, because I might have some doubts about that. But usually the contracts are covering both sides. Yeah, that's why it's two-sided.
The vendors are probably used to seeing updated contracts and from other jobs that they have. So it's not, I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to me. And I think it's the right thing to do. I just, I hear contract, no offense, Steve, but I think lawyer, I think cost, and so I worry a little bit that sometimes we spend a lot of money to protect ourselves when perhaps there isn't that much risk. But when you say things like cybersecurity, clearly there is risk if we're not protected. So I understand where you're coming from. It's helpful, thank you.
Yeah, just, if I might as well, I'm looking at table 1, for example, this audit sample, and I'm trying to understand exactly, this is in item number 6, I guess, Roman numeral 6. And it's just obviously one example here. What do we know which firms are designated as minority-owned firms or anything like that? And I mean, I see things as small as like $1,200 here, which is obviously not a lot of money even these days. And just wondering if you could just briefly explain exactly what we're looking at here, just with this one table.
This one table shows, first of all, the types of the contract we selected. So
No,
we
I
did not.
understood that part, yes. Okay.
We did not limit ourselves just to big contracts. We choose the small contracts too, just to make sure that, let's say, there is a tendency, I mean, it's a human nature, yeah, like to do everything good when it's come to the big numbers, yeah, and theoretically maybe less attentive to the smaller numbers. So we selected both big numbers and small numbers to make sure that every procedure is followed the same way for every type of the contract.
Okay, and do we have any indication as to which of these are minority women-owned firms?
We looked at this matter. It's not
I'm sorry?
reflected. We looked at the matter of compliance with the MWB and veteran category. The thing is, our agency is following all the state mandated rules about that. From my own experience, when I worked in controller's office, city controller's office, we went a little bit further by allowing our agency to determine ourselves who were considered MWB or veteran firms. This allowance is not given to the state agencies. So here we are limited to the firms only who are certified.
Okay.
But city investment funds, like pension funds, they allow themselves to determine. So for example, if our procurement department will have that freedom of determination, we would do much, much more in this aspect. Right now, we are limited to looking at our pool for the firms who are officially certified.
Professor, specifically on your question with this table, I mean, I do believe that several of these firms are MBEs or WBs. We could certainly go over the list with you if you'd like to.
Well, I would just think that, again, just in I think this is my 3rd year on the board or something like that, that would be one of the things we keep trying to say, that we need to have some focus on it. Not if I ask, we can go through the list and see. I mean, a $1,200 allocation here is hopefully not what we're talking about here as a general rule. And I understand, because I've been around this a while, that sometimes there are some obstacles, or should I just say difficulties, in finding firms, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. And it also means that the agency needs to do whatever it needs, so that if when we go through this in some detail, it's not the $10,000 and $1,200 items that we're talking about. So yet we're doing minority-owned firms. That's not certainly not why I'm here. And I don't think that that's why you're here. Frankly, that is something that as a state, we're trying to do something differently and better.
So, Professor
um,
Ford, I don't want to interrupt you,
yes.
but I mean, the purpose of this audit was to evaluate compliance with respect to these vendors. We're not distinguishing between any of the, the nature of the ownership of those vendors. We want to make sure that that is universally applied to all vendors. And so the compliance effort itself, and I don't know how the selection process goes, but the purpose of this is just to evaluate the compliance of each of these vendors with our rules and requirements.
Well, yes, I think, I know that. And so, but I'm adding on to that, if you will, just the notion, again, how and where do we find a way to do better, which I think we can all agree needs to be done when it comes to minority and women-owned firms engaged by this agency. How do we do better? Well, we certainly can't tell from this. And and certainly there are other entities, but why wouldn't we just, as a matter of course, say, yes, this is a minority-owned firm, this is a woman-owned firm, and so on, just so that not only this board, but anybody making a useful inquiry would be able to get some idea.
Absolutely. This is my idea that I actually was part of implementation in my previous workplace. So this is what I would suggest is that if there will be a change in, let's say, approach toward how agencies can determine by themselves whether this firm belongs to a certain category or not, and not wait for the certification only.
Well, there's an idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. So,
Well, we aren't allowed to do that, though, Hanim, right? We are not permitted as a state agency.
But there are things that we can do. I think we can agree on that. There are things that we can do even without further legislation and what have you. Just basic operations here is that if these firms are already designated one way or another, just you can tell us. That's all.
But are you saying that relative to this procurement compliance report, or are you just making a general statement? I guess I'm not totally understanding if you're trying to. So relative to this procurement compliance report, are you just asking that when Hanim lists the audits and the samples, just to note whether they were an MWB or not? We can certainly add that to a future one, but I don't think it would change the way she either did her audit, right? And then obviously the findings are the findings.
Well, I'm not suggesting changing the facts, certainly, but we need to know all the facts. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's people smarter than me looking at this who could figure it out. But I think that even I should be able to figure that out. Is what I'm saying. So I know you were going to say something.
I was just going to say for the legal aspect of it, ESD makes a determination of who's the MWB and everyone else, MBEs.
Sure.
They make that determination, they provide it to the agency. What we're asking for from the agency itself is a breakdown of, based upon that determination, who is doing what, who owns what particular thing. That you can provide in a separate report of who the active vendors are in the certification portion. So that we would appreciate. On the legal side of it, it doesn't add more legal or legality to it. What we're doing now is we're actually consolidating how everything is being done as far as contracts.
Making it consistent.
Right. Suffolk County does theirs independently. Nassau County says we don't want to be a part of Suffolk County, so we're doing ours independently. Then you have the New York State, they're like, we're doing ours independently. So what we're doing next month is we're trying to consolidate those chambers of commerce and other individuals that want to do business to do it on a consistent basis across the board. So now that eliminates 62 different individuals doing business independently. Now everyone on a common standard has to do that standard based upon their own. And the only addition above that is the additional requirements for New York State in order to be able to provide that information to meet the certification standards.
Okay.
But then I have a question also too, because you said that there's a standard by procurement, but procurement does not have a SOP. Has their SOP been finished? Because as of July, they still haven't had it completed. So there is no written standard of operation for procurement to work by. So is that in the process of being done?
I believe they are referring to the federal and state legislation when it's come to that subject.
Okay. And then I also noticed in a report that there was no complaints because I know Darrell Ford and Mr. De Jesus did a report, and there were no complaints. So out of the course of the audit over the course of the last 3 to 5 years, there hasn't been a single complaint by anyone regarding any vendor?
I am not aware of, but I can check.
Okay, thank you.
So next recommendation was about the vendor payment modification procedure, which is about, let's say, if I'm a vendor and I'm sending you information about, oh, my bank account changed, my address changed, we recommend to reach out to that vendor directly, regardless of the written, let's say, emails or letters that we receive from them, as an extra verification step. Because right now it's one of the scenarios of the fraud when accounting departments, procurement departments receive legitimate emails from the vendor saying, this is my new address, this is my new bank account, but actually it's a fraudulent email. So we recommend our both finance department and procurement department not to rely just on the written communication and verify back with the particular vendor individually, like live, to do the live verification. And the last thing was the policy and procedures update. At the time when we recommended this, there was no one like full procurement manual, but there are steps that already been performed in that aspect. Yesterday, Lisa and her team put together a very good presentation about all their consolidated like ways of how they do procurement. If they will add details and they will put it in a separate document, we will have a comprehensive procurement manual for all departments that they can refer to and use for any type of the procurement that they are going to proceed with.
The reviewed list, is that the list from 10 years ago? Is that a newly updated list of vendors?
Newly.
How recent was it updated?
You mean procedures or vendors?
Vendors.
I was talking about procedures, I'm sorry. For the vendors, we can produce the new list, and if you want, I can do a separate analysis about their, let's say, composition and let's say ownership type and etc., and present it to you separately.
Okay. And the new procedures were updated July 2024. Have there been any new funds allocated to do an independent audit? Because that was one of the concerns prior also, to have an outside auditing firm come in to actually review the procurement and compliance section.
It was not part of the RFP that we looked at. Mm-hmm. So if the RFP will be placed for such services, we'll be aware of. Okay. Right now, it's not the case.
It's not in the works right now.
At least I'm not aware of. So if you have any questions about the content of the report, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sunny. Will?
This item is before the audit committees for HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC. Resolution transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great, thank you. Item 13, independent auditors report, auditors Ernst & Young presentation audit plan. The materials were in the supplemental materials that were circulated. They were quite extensive. I would like to ask our auditors in their presentation if they could just hit the highlights. The report is quite detailed and the board members can read it at their leisure, but if you, for purposes of your presentation, just hit the highlights, we'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure thing. Good morning, all. Lou Roberts, I'm the coordinating partner from Ernst & Young. If I could just draw your attention to the executive summary on page 1. Just we'll briefly review the audit plan and the scope. This is the time of the year where we perform our planning procedures and start to select items for confirmation purposes. so that we can start to execute the year-end procedures after October 31st. Then we'll be back in November through January to perform the year-end procedures and be back with you all the January audit committee meeting to present the audit results. Additional points to consider, I'll go through the required communications on the next slide. I just want to highlight that we do incorporate subcontractors as part of our audit team. We have representation of minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and this year, for the first time, a service-disabled, a veteran-owned business. Mitchell & Titus is based in New York. Long Island Financial Management Services, the woman-owned business based in Long Island. And RJ Williams Group, the SDVOB, is based in Rochester. So I think we have a pretty good span of the state of New York. I invited Irene Davis from Mitchell & Titus to be with me here today, just to kind of put her perspective on our relationship. But she is on travel for another client. So hopefully I can have her back in January to help me present the audit results. The audit services on the next page are consistent with the prior year. I'll skip through that since you've seen that before. On page 3 are the areas of audit emphasis, which we basically go through the financial statements to identify what are the most significant accounts that you have, as well as overall audit risk and risk to the agency. So I've highlighted those areas on that page. And then getting into the required communications, things that we're required to present to those charged with governance as part of our planning procedures. Those are outlined here. There's nothing significant to communicate. Inquiries regarding risk of material misstatement, fraud, or any related party transactions. Those are made throughout the course of the audit, and I do meet with the commissioner to go through certain inquiries as well. And at this point in time, we're not aware of anything to be reported to the board or audit committee. So hopefully that was brief enough, and if there's any question, I'd be more than happy to try and answer. Yes, sir.
Yes, and thank you for the presentation. As always, in any report, and certainly when we're talking about audit reports, there's always going to be something that can be done better. Okay, I think the day that we're perfect is when we'll all have halos. So in the meantime, is there anything that you want to bring to our attention that you said, well, been doing it this way, and in light of the mandates that we get from the state and from the federal government, what we are interested in as individual board members, all of that, is there anything that we could be doing better?
We have talked about from a financial close presentation, because there's a lot of time and effort that is compressed into that month of January for financial reporting. And the way that the agency prepares the financial statements, there's an Excel base with Word documents, cut and paste. So we've talked through how to make that process of taking the information from your general ledger and incorporating it into your final report, how to make that process quicker and easier and less time invested by its personnel during that really consolidated period of time. So I do have an update meeting with the staff to go through to see how they're progressing with that and see if that's something that they can incorporate for this year.
But I'm saying just over the past several years, leading up to this year as well, and thank you for that. Are there some things that just as members of the board should be brought to our attention, just so we can keep an eye on it going forward?
At this point in time, I don't have anything specific to bring.
Really doing that well then, huh? So, okay. All right. Yeah. If you say so, but hopefully there's some things that we could do better.
Yeah. I think my predecessor partner, Danielle, was here to present the single audit from the prior years where there was a grant that had been missed and the report had to be restated because the way that they were not recording the grant within the financial statement. So right. That's the most recent issue that we brought to your attention.
Yes.
But if there is anything else, certainly we would be discussing any issues.
Look, I don't want to take up too much time, Mr. Chairman, but just again, perhaps let me put it differently. Things are going fine or okay, as we say, with no major problems, but any organization can always be done better. There's something that we could do better, yeah. I would hope, and can you give us any guidance in that regard?
And I think, we're in the process of planning the audit for this year, and to the extent that there are any areas that we think we should be brought to your attention, we'll present those in January.
Okay, that.
Yeah. Again, because we've finished up the audit, we concluded our audit last year in January.
Right.
So we haven't really been engaged over the summer. So we're planning the audit. As we assess the internal controls, review the risks, we'll be in a better position to provide any of that kind of commentary in January.
But you have hundreds, thousands of clients and what have you, so there must be some trends, some activity that people weren't doing 2 years ago that they're doing now that we could be made aware of here as members of the board. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Sure.
Okay. All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed over here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One question, I guess, and maybe as you're considering the audit and thinking about what you're talking about, sort of like ease of execution and extracting information from existing systems. I mean, obviously, I think one of the things that's interesting from this agency is obviously invested a ton in technology over the course of the last decade, a ton. And obviously, I think based on the last comment, the audit that was done internally with regard to contract review and other things like that, and the ability to extract data from our systems and the speed at which, I mean, the whole point is obviously we'd love to be able to press a button and just have our financials be produced. And so obviously, given sort of that relationship, as you're considering what to look at in our audit, the relationship between outcomes and investments in technology, as well as sort of how that's impacted positively or negatively our processes as well. Because, you know, we did, for example, several years ago, I think, have a delay in the release of our audited financials because of technology transition things. And these are obviously, we want to make sure that these are things that are actually really, and that we're investing, or that if there's still gaps that we need to invest in terms of these types of things, because obviously more regulatory burden on staff, the more important, you know, an efficient process is in execution of the agency.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're talking about, not only the preparation of the document itself, but how do you extract the information from the general ledger to prepare, as well as things that we could do as of an interim period, such as confirmations with loans and investment accounts, the timeliness for which the agency can close its books as of an interim period so that we can make selections. So we're actually having meetings to talk about how soon before year end can the agency close its books as of an interim period so that we can make some selections before you get to year end. So the audit process isn't so compressed.
Are we gonna do a discussion on supplemental separately?
Sorry, which supplemental?
The financial supplemental.
There's the next item concerns the budget request and the financial plan for the next fiscal year, if that's what you're asking about.
This supplemental report, the state supplemental report.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with what that is.
It was sent separately. DFS.
Oh, yes, that'll be set there. I think there's a separate just information item with respect to the DFS, but that's separate from this audit. Yes.
Okay, that's gonna be a closed agenda item?
I can't.
Closed session item or open session item?
I think we're just gonna have a short presentation on the DFS report. Is that correct? Yeah.
It's a separate item, James.
Yeah.
Separate item?
Yes.
Okay. Professor Ford, some of the questions you're asking is gonna come up in that.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Okay, thanks. Do we need a motion on this?
I don't believe there's a resolution in connection with this. This was just an update from the auditors on the audit plan to the committee. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, next
Just
item.
for awareness, I know we have some hard stops here, so just in case we lose quorum later in the day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, item 14, administrative budget requests and financial plans for fiscal year 2026. Ted Podest, Chief Financial Officer, and Gerald Johnson, Deputy Chief Financial Officer, will present the item.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, so there's a lot of data here on the administrative budget. I'm going to take the first half and go through the administrative budget request, and then Darryl, Deputy CFO, will take you through the financial plan. So within the data, and we're open to questions, even if today's not the right time. If you have any questions or follow-up, please just get in touch with either one of us. But within the data is the description of the budget process, which I'm not going to go through, but it's there for your reading. There's also a timeline of the fiscal year 26 financial plan and administrative budget timeline. And then I'm going to come to the request. There's also data in here on how we do our staff allocations and how we split up our time for the entire agency. But the actual request is we have an amended approved 2025 budget of $112,711,000. And within the package, we are asking for a 3% increase, inclusive of 10 headcount to 116,092. And the data is on page 14 if you have any questions on which line items have increased and or decreased within the budget.
Sorry, just since I'm new to this process, are there two separate actions that we're taking? One, which is to amend the 2025 budget, and then second, to approve the 2026, or is it one?
No, the 25
action?
budget is already approved, so it's one action to approve the 2026 budget.
So we don't need to approve the amendment from the approved
Correct,
2025
that was done in
budget?
June.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll go into the financial plan with Darrell Johnson.
I'll be brief. Good morning,
Sorry,
everyone.
wait, question.
Very quickly, what is the total headcount of the agency?
Today, our budgeted headcount is 363. We're right up against that. I think the last week it was at 359. And we had 1.5 billion, like we said in June, of new programs coming through.
That's helpful, thank you.
And Sadie, just to be clear, that's for AHC, HFA, and SONYMA. For the broader agency, obviously, there are more staff that are on the DHCR payroll, not implicated here.
Absolutely, yes. So this covers HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, TSFC, AHC.
And the number you quoted, the 116.
Is just,
that?
yes,
Thank you.
correct.
Thanks, Ted.
Good morning. Good. So I'm going to briefly go through the financial plans. We have financial plans as part of this package for each one of the 5 agencies. Rather than go through the entire financial plan, I'm going to speak to the revenues that we take in from the agency to support the expenses that Ted just spoke about. For HFA, we have revenues basically from 3 revenue sources. We have revenues from our bond closing, which generally are about 2% of the bond closing amount. We get mortgage servicing fees of 25 basis points on the outstanding mortgages, and we have regulatory fees that we collect once the mortgages are paid off. They're about $10,000 a year. That totals about $75 million a year that we use to pay for the administrative expenses for HFA that Ted spoke about. Next, we have SONYMA. SONYMA, as you all know, has 2 lines of business. It has the single-family line of business and the MIF. On the single-family side, we use a spread. In other words, the revenue that's generated is the difference between the interest on the mortgages that we receive and the interest on the bonds that we pay. That amount goes to the actual fund within the indenture for the single-family bonds. That money is restricted, but the indenture does allow for an amount to be taken out to support the administrative expenses. We estimate that to be about $19 million a year. Okay. For Tobacco Settlement Finance Corporation, we continue to receive the TSF tobacco revenues each year. They're about between $250 and $300 million a year. Of that, we spent about $200,000 to pay the administrative revenues for the tobacco revenue finance agency.
Were you going to say the second line of business from SONYMA?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed that. So the second line of business is the MIF, so the Mortgage Insurance Fund. And the Mortgage Insurance Fund, the revenues are basically from the interest on the investments. We have about probably close to $3 billion in investments in the MIF. We also receive the mortgage tax receipts revenue. And there's one other revenue source. We receive the mortgage premiums that we receive for the MIF. And that's the base that we use to pay the administrative expenses for the MIF. MIF typically pays about 25% of SONYMA's common costs, plus its own salaries or salary allocation. So if SONYMA has, for instance, $3 million in, let's say $4 million in costs for its portion of the rent, the MIF will pay a quarter of that, or $1 million. So that's how that works. Okay, I think I mentioned TFFC. The last 2 are AHC and MBBA. Both of those entities, neither I should say, have a dedicated significant revenue source, and they are subsidized by HFA for their administrative expenses. All the agencies' net positions are either stable or increasing, and that allows them to maintain or increase production, in pursuit of their mission. Are there any questions?
Just one, and I'm sure you've mentioned it before, but just so that I guess perhaps just for clarity's purposes, when you're talking about the funds involving the tobacco settlement, right?
Right.
Okay, and you said there's a rather large number that you mentioned, and a relatively smaller number that actually is used by or is part of the agency's operations. Where does the rest of the money go?
The rest of it, we hold it and we invest it, and then it's called by the state periodically to defer the cost of non-federal Medicaid costs, New York State Medicaid costs. So they call it, we don't know, we receive an official letter from the state that says send, so much to
Just
the
give us the
department.
money.
Yeah, last year was 97 million
Correct.
of the 250.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Quick question. In the non-personnel services or costs, in IT, we have a good size number, over 11,891,000. Is there a subcategory in there for AI? Have we started to think about investments in AI yet?
To my knowledge, there's no AI
Plan.
cost built in, but I know it's being talked about with the CIO, Tom Miller, and others, and how we can use it maybe to summarize documents and other. But
Yeah.
As of now, I'm not aware of any.
I only ask because
It's such a
at CPC, there's conversation. Once you start talking about it, it sort of takes on a life of its own with this broad understanding that IT or that AI is going to make you more efficient and help you save costs. And, I'm a little bit uninformed as it relates to all that AI can do, certainly, but I think it's definitely time for the agency to start to think about, and I'm sure your IT people are, how to make use of AI to create those efficiencies and potential cost savings. For us, we're looking at not reducing existing headcount, but not needing to add headcount over time. And so through attrition, being able to pick up savings and overall headcount because you have AI doing more of what people are doing today. I have no idea whether that relates to everything that you do, but I read all of the write-ups and everything, and I know there are some things that we're doing that are similar that AI should be able to help with.
I just real quick, because piggyback, we were talking in the last conversation about reviewing contracts under the audit. To be honest, we could review every contract the agency has ever done and recommend language to bring those forward to 2025 in an afternoon. And so to that point, this whole idea of, understanding strategically where that investment's going to be as it pertains to headcount is hugely important, because I think you're absolutely right. When we think about document creation, standardization, especially on legal and other consulting fees, there's real room for improvement in delivery of services, I think, within the agency, but also obviously cost. And this is obviously not just here. There's large discussions at GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association is focused on it. There's a lot, obviously industry groups generally around governments and are focused on this as well.
It's probably unfair to have the conversation about your IT people at the table, but I just raise it because we're talking about the budget, and I think that there are real positive impacts to the budget if we use AI in the right ways.
Well, even within SAP, we're looking to move to the cloud, and we're looking at their module for AI. So that would help us close the books quicker, faster, and more efficiently. So it is a conversation that's happening. I know that and one of the senior staffs.
Sorry, Ted, just to jump in, I would just say, Sadie, that, and James, I think it's a great point. We don't have a line item in the IT budget for investment in AI, but it's being discussed both in sort of an internal working group, and as Ted was about to say, we began to talk about at the senior staff level. It's definitely being talked about within project implementations. So any big project that we're using an outside vendor for, and then the governor is putting together an AI working group, and we just applied to hopefully join that pilot. So there would be 2 representatives from the agency joining those meetings, and then ultimately they will come back. They'll get sort of trained up and come back and train other people at our agency. So definitely.
I'm sorry, I'll wait.
Definitely. Excuse me. So that means, though, that it wouldn't be in the current budget, maybe in a future budget. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, for now, these are,
For now, there's nothing to put in.
Well, to the extent that AI is being incorporated into into IT implementations. Those are within project budgets of those projects. There's no line item for
Yeah, it's not broken
specifically
out
AI. Right now, there are conversations, but if in mid-year, as part of that working session, we learn, that we need an investment in something, we'll either try and accommodate it within our IT budget by cutting something else, or we would, of course, come back to the board if there were reason to.
Could I jump in? Oops.
Sure, B, well.
Being
Go ahead,
serious,
Dee.
there's a whole nother level to the AI conversation that I think the agency should start engaging in, and that is the governance of AI implementation and policy, right? And so is that something that's gonna happen at that governors group, or is that something that you should start talking about internally? Because
Yeah, and Ms. Gonzalez, I'll just say briefly, the state does have a policy with respect to the use of AI by state agencies, and we are certainly, following that, and also I think have reviewed and implemented that within the agency. But yes, there is, those sorts of frameworks exist, and that's all part of this conversation.
okay, just if I could just indulge for one more second. So for example, this idea of using AI to help facilitate report writing, right? What agency rules would you put in place for that to happen? Because that is another level below the broader AI governance issues. So just things to think about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably worth, maybe a larger conversation, a future agenda item at a meeting, and we can prepare some more materials for the board.
Yeah, I know. I'll wait for you, yes.
I was gonna say, in regards to AI, and speaking to the developers, they're in the infancy stage of actually building out what AI is supposed to look like. So the creators are still having a problem figuring out how to integrate it in the business and the policy and the politics. So the only thing that we can really use right now is like for paperwork. As far as ideas, development, and other things, AI is having a problem implementing it. Then the other piece that you have to take into consideration is asymmetrical and symmetrical growth. Because as you introduce AI, you're not going to need that 363 some individuals in the building. So now what do you do with them? But then also, how do you replace them? Because as you replace them, you got to put new people in that's actually going to have to review the data for AI. And then one of the recommendations that we got for the financial side of it is the redundancy of things. Because right now, if this system fails, how do we recover it? Because just like in Suffolk County, it took 5 years almost to rebuild. Once they got into the system and destroyed it, it took 5 years to rebuild it back. So that's 5 years of business, $2.5 to $4 million lost to integrate the new system, then another 5 to 7 million to put what we already paid for back into the system again. So it's all interconnected, and it's all in its infancy stage. So it's going to be a while.
Yeah, one of the things, just with respect to this, and appreciate the report that you're making, but I hope what you're hearing is that there's a feeling certainly that there needs to be more speed and more energy attached to this AI business. AI is already out of the box and is on its way. When I do my limited reading with respect to this, is saying that a lot of the work that you see done in whatever agency, corporation, entity that you're talking about, that a lot of it is going to be done by AI for certainly people coming in through the fourth year. So from fourth year on, I guess that's another thing. But we can't afford, I would think, as a public entity, to wait until a couple years down the line. And I hear what's happening at the governor's office, but I've worked in state government before as well. And is there a problem, or is there an obstacle for this entity, the State of New York Agency and HFA and what have you, beginning this process right now? Because I can bet you a year from now, as I said, it's going to be a lot more complicated, and we don't want to be still, sitting around with pencils and slide rules while everything is going on. But quite seriously, is there something that we can? I know there's a budget process already in place. We're not here to turn that over, but on the other hand, we are here to make some inquiries and suggestions. Is there anything that you can do your collective staff can do to help us be more informed and the agency the entity more informed going forward so that a year from now, we're not trying to catch up. That's the question. Is it something that you can do?
Yeah, why don't we do this? I mean, I think it's an important topic, obviously, given all of its impact. We can add to the agenda going forward, or at least in a future meeting, kind of an update on where we are agency-wide with respect to AI. And I think for purposes of this discussion, given the fact that it's about, the budget plans, it's not something that we're going to incorporate in this item that we're approving, but we will certainly add an update in a future meeting.
Well,
And rest assured that in this budget, while there isn't a specific line item for AI, there is a line item in our IT budget for general improvements, so things that we have not yet determined what we need going forward in the year. So some of that could surely be invested as we.
And I'll also ask James to incorporate AI into the Innovation Committee.
All right, I'll just say time is not our friend. Okay, and I heard what everything has been said here, but as I said again, if we're still having these kinds of conversations a year from now, we'll be way behind. That's all.
Okay, well, we're going to be way behind if we don't catch up on the agenda.
Okay,
Steve, I'm
all
sorry.
kidding aside, that's really true. Okay, and so
No,
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yes,
Joyce?
Steve, I would just like to add my agreement with what the professor is saying, that I think that although we do want to participate in the governor's task force, the agency itself should be thinking ahead independently also
Right.
and
Well,
moving
there's
forward
no
as quickly as
question.
possible.
No question that we all recognize the importance of it, and we will certainly give it what it's due.
Every system we have, right, the vendor is introducing to us what are they doing for AI to help us move forward, and that's where we're concentrating our time right this second on that.
But do we also have an overview or a general plan as where we want to be or what's happening?
I mean, my view is it's pretty bespoke, right? So you can't have one size fits all AI approach, like the different parts of the business and systems can use it differently. So I think, to James's point, we're in the early stages. I think that your vendors are focused on it, that you're thinking about it, that we're gonna be able to have a presentation on it. You're with the task force, and we can be more intentional now that we've elevated it as a real issue, I think is all we can do right now, personally. And I feel that way about where we are at CPC as well. It's, like, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and do things that actually end up hurting us. Right, so we need to be a little more
But I think we
intentional.
also need to be forward thinking
Of
and
course.
thinking in
Folks,
broader
we need
terms.
to-
Quick question for you.
We need to, hold on, James, we need to move on. I'm sorry. We're 40,
Mine is
45.
easy though.
Sorry, we have 45 additional agenda items that we need to get through. Will, do we need a motion on this?
Approval.
Yeah,
It's an easy one.
there are resolutions here that are before the audit committees for HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC, as well as the full boards for HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC. If we're ready, call those resolutions. They were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is
Okay.
carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, just to recognize the importance of this item, we will certainly take it up again and address it fully. The next 16 project items are quite extensive. I would ask for the presentations to hit the highlights. The materials are extensive. You can assume that the board members have read them completely. So if the presentations can just be reflecting the highlights of each of these items, that would be helpful. Item 15, 626 Flatbush Avenue Series Resolution Amendments and Refinancing, City of New York, and Mark Price, Director of Capital Markets, will make this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, great. Just to try and get through this quickly. 626 Flatbush Avenue was a project that was originally financed in 2013. It got refinanced in 2017 with a 10-year tender date, which would be 2027. The project sponsors and borrower have reached agreement with Mizuho Bank for a refinancing. There's 71 million of bonds that are outstanding, 60 million are tax exempt, 11 million are taxable. The new structure would be a private placement to Mizuho, wrapped with a Mizuho related entity letter of credit. And this project was an 80-20 project, 254 units, 51 of which were at or below 50%. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Mark. Will?
This item is before the HFA Board and the HFA Finance and Program Committee. Resolutions transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Will. Next item, 16, Steamboat Square Phase 2, City of Albany, Albany County. Michelle Canizio, Assistant Vice President, Multifamily Finance and Development. Russell Ubley, Vice President, Multifamily Finance and Development. And Gary Schuldenfrei, Vice President, Mortgage Insurance Fund, will present the item.
Thank you. As part of Albany Housing Authority's master plan, commissioned in 2019, called Reimagine Steamboat, the Steamboat Square Development Plan is designed to address the critical need for safe, affordable, and sustainable housing in the city of Albany. There are 2 phases to Steamboat Square. HFA previously financed Steamboat Square 1 with a total of 88 units, both preservation and new construction, with a 9% team. This is the final phase, phase 2. For individuals and families earning up to 80% AMI, this project will rehabilitate 300 units and create an additional 43 units. 43 units will be supportive housing set aside for persons with serious mental illness, supported by an ESHI award for rental and service subsidy. The service provider is Cares of New York. This project will be all electric and designed to Enterprise Green Communities 2020 plus standards. There will be a geothermal system for HVAC. This has CEI funds, 10.5 million. In conclusion, the project achieves the agency goals of addressing specific local housing needs and preserving housing and promoting community revitalization.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Questions?
I just had one quick question. This is adjacent to the highway, I see. Is this the building that when you're coming along the highway, it's boarded up on one side?
No, I don't know offhand, sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Geographically, I'm not that familiar.
I just have been waiting for someone to do something about
It's
that.
a complex, there's several buildings,
Yeah,
a couple
yeah.
of towers. It could be because some of the
One
units
them,
are
yeah.
offline.
Yeah.
It might be.
I think it is. Anyway, sorry.
It's that whole
What's the relate-
complex. Yes, you're right, Steve.
Yes.
It's that whole thing you see when you, yes,
Yes,
are
okay,
driving
thanks.
on Sunday. Yeah.
What's the relationship between phase 2 and phase 1? As far as distance of the site?
I'm sorry, I don't know that geographically either. Sorry.
It's all part of the same, I mean, phase 1 was a 9% project. It was a smaller scaled project that they started out. So it's all part of the same community.
The same community?
Yeah.
So phase 2 is not going to be any addition to it, it's just the next
Oh, no,
portion of
it's
it?
a separate
It's a
site.
separate?
Yeah.
It's
separate
Oh,
site?
it's a separate site.
Yeah, these are separate buildings, but it's all part of one broader
On the
community.
same site?
Yeah, one broader development. Steamboat Square 1 was financed a few years ago and
Right.
completed. Now this is phase 2, but it's all part of the same neighborhood.
Same
build.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
All owned by the Albany Housing Authority?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the question is still, what about this phase 3? then?
No, there's only
Phase
2
two.
phases.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
it's all in the same spot. Has the
Is there
stop
a
work
plan
order been
involving
lifted on
phase 3
phase
as
1?
well?
Phase 2 encompasses the remainder of the buildings.
Okay.
So there's no additional.
Has the stop work order been lifted from phase 1?
There's no stop work order on phase 1.
There were issues with construction, safety concerns, concrete being issues, and certain portions of the building sinking, residents' concerns, all a part of phase 1.
Is Brett, phase 1 was a 9%, right, Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is
we didn't do
one.
that one.
Madeline, is Brett still in the room?
No, he's not.
Okay, sorry.
Pretty sure this is the same one.
We can have Brett come at the next meeting, or you can even see if he can come back and talk about any issues that are at phase one, which would be separate from this. These are separate buildings and a separate financing.
Okay, but the only thing is, it's on the same site. So did you guys do geological studies and reports?
Sure. Yeah, this passes environmental review before it comes forward.
Okay, so the concerns for phase two are the same concerns for phase one,
Not that I know of.
but it's still on the same site.
I mean,
It's scattered site, it's
yeah.
not one site. These are multiple buildings in a radius of several blocks, so not every site is contiguous. But yeah, an environmental report is done, it's cleared in order for us to get here today. From what I understand, phase one is complete, so any issues were probably resolved at this point since the project has been leased up and marketed, so it's finished.
Is it possible just for, just for the sake of it, between now and when we have our next meeting, could you just confirm that, please?
Sure.
I'm gonna see if
Now,
Brett,
but I'll do it again.
I'm gonna see if Brett can come back into the Hampton room and just address any issues you have on phase one, since that was his project, not Russell's. Just hang on stay tuned.
And then I like to make a motion to table it then until he comes back and we can address it.
Chair, would you like to move to the next item and we can come back to this one?
Sure, that's fine, we'll do that. Next item,
Hold on, you need a
Well,
second though.
We're gonna move to the presentation for the
Okay.
next, we're just not gonna vote for now.
this is not a Sunny May item, James, this is.
Well, this does have Sunny May insurance.
Sunny May item.
Yeah, it is Sunny May, I'm sorry, okay, all right, so we'll just skip this item for now and we'll come back. All right, so item 17, Sparrow Square, Phase 1, City of New York, Kings County. Michelle, Russell, and Gary are up again.
Sparrow Square is in East Flatbush and was part of the Vital Brooklyn Initiative RFP that was awarded in 2021 to the sponsor team of Douglaston Development and Breaking Ground. The first the full three-phase project will include more than 1,000 units of affordable housing, replace existing shelters, retail space, open space, and community facility space. This is phase one, so it's the first time we're breaking ground here. And the first phase of this redevelopment of the Kingsborough Psychiatric Center site includes 2 buildings, 198 units, and 63 units for a total of 261 units. 117 of these units will be supportive units subsidized by ESHI and OMH for serious mental illness. There will be 8,500 square feet of space for Brooklyn Ballet on the ground floor. This project will be all electric. It will meet Passive House certification. It has solar. We're requesting an increase to the LIHTC eligible basis for this project from $575,000 per unit to $826,000 per unit, because there's significant infrastructure costs associated with this construction of a new road, brand new campus, passive house design, campus design of the project, and soft costs associated with this multi-phase project and timeline of ESD approvals.
Michelle, how many phases are there?
There's 3. This is the first.
First of 3, and I just note the total development cost of $925,000 a unit. It's pretty expensive. Are there reasons why it's so expensive?
Yeah. So there's significant infrastructure cost, about $30 million. So they're building DOT roads here, since this is like a new campus. The DOT roads are pretty involved. It has sewage, stormwater, electrical, all kinds of conduit. It's also, the campus design of this project is also a bit complicated. Again, the soft costs are pretty significant, both, legal, architectural, engineer, soft cost, because it's a multi-phase project and it's in conjunction with ESD, and ESD has their own soft costs that they put into the budget here for their own specialists that they work with.
Does that mean that this phase is front-loaded and that's why it's higher? Because you're gonna be able to use some of the work being done now for the next phases and not.
Including insurance.
And if you net out the 30 million in site costs, what does that bring the total down to?
900,000 a unit.
Okay, so it's still
not,
significant.
It doesn't, make that much of a dent,
Okay, great, thank you. Any other
Yeah.
questions?
But I just didn't see the ITC. Is there solar tax credits in the sources?
There isn't solar, no.
I thought you just said there's solar. I just wasn't sure.
There is solar, but there isn't solar tax credits. There was solar tax credits, but it was taken out because it expires in December and they would not have been able to install the solar by then. So they would not have been able to take advantage of
Just a
that.
comment for like, obviously there's changes in the one big beautiful bill around some of the stuff. There is potentially, I don't know if the agency like thinking about safe harbor lending or ways to accelerate lending into projects where that may be losing financing. If there's like short-term financing vehicles that we can support projects on that are like moving towards this, but need to order equipment in advance of deadlines, that might be something because it'd be a shame to just lose them money.
They had it, and they had it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
take it out.
So
It just comes out of our pocket.
it comes out of our pocket,
Right.
but we could actually like bridge finance some of the tax credits and safe harbor and then be reimbursed later.
One thing we are doing on this one is we're waiving our basis cap waiver on this project, so it's allowing for some additional tax credit equity.
Okay.
I just want to underscore what Steve said, and maybe Steve, one thing that the Innovation Committee can think about is how to get at these higher, ever-growing higher costs per unit of housing. Because 900 and however many thousands of dollars in this market is, we really just need to acknowledge and say out loud that it costs too much.
Yeah.
So I
agree.
think this is something for the Innovation Committee.
Yeah.
I think there's
I'll take up all of construction costs and get it solved.
$1 million is kind of a magic number in people's minds, I think, just as a layperson.
Yeah.
And I think there's a messaging challenge here for us as an agency to decide how we're going to explain that $1 million invested in a single unit is affordable. They seem to be diametrically opposed.
Correct.
That's a
Especially when
very,
market rates being built for half.
Right. So we got to anticipate that this is going to become the source of controversy at some point.
Thank you for the feedback.
yeah, good point.
Thank you.
Good point, thank you. Anything else on this item? Okay, well,
Okay, this item is for the HFA and SONYMA boards, the HFA Finance and Program Committee, and the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. I'll note for the record that the chairman has recused himself from this vote. Before those bodies are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
okay, thank you. Should we move on to the next item? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear back from Brett yet.
Okay, item 18, Gateway Apartments, City of Rochester, Monroe County, and Terrence, Russell, and Gary will this item.
Morning. So Gateway Apartments is a project with acquisition and adaptive reuse of a vacant 7-story commercial building into 129 multi-family units. All units will be affordable to household with income between 30% to 80% of AMI. The sponsor is Stuart Alexander and Associates, who is a New York State certified minority business enterprise. The project is part of the City of Rochester's 2034 comprehensive plan to increase its downtown population, where there are a number of vacant office buildings in the central business district. The area is well-resourced area with various amenities for the tenants, and it is close to public transportation. The proposed design includes the removal of the center of the building, is a commercial building, from the first floor through the roof to create a glass-covered courtyard, allowing natural sunlight into the interior units. The existing glass facade will be removed to restore the building to its original brick masonry. The construction will meet our Clean Energy Initiative stretch goals under the substantial rehabilitation guidelines. The building will be all electric for heating, cooling, and hot water generation. In-unit amenities will include washer, dryer, and dishwasher. So the sponsor, the management agent, and the general contractor, they all have experience with the agency finance project. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Terrence. Questions? Will?
Okay, I'll note that the chairman has recused himself from this vote. This item is before the HFA and HTFC boards, in addition to the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee only. Note that it's not before the full Sunny Mae board because it's below the threshold. Now before those bodies are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously reported. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. All right, next item, 19 Wallace Campus Apartments, City of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess.
We're gonna,
County.
Chairman, we're gonna pull this item.
Pull this item, okay, sorry.
Okay.
Next item, 20 Amherst Commons, City of Buffalo, Erie County. Emilio Veras, Russell, and Gary will present this item.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Amherst Commons will use the agency's investment to finance the new construction of a 3-story building containing 133 units of affordable housing in the city of Buffalo. Of the total units, 33 units will be set aside as supportive units, 13 specifically for survivors of DV, domestic violence, and they will benefit from an award under the Empire State Housing Initiative. And 20 of the supportive units will be set aside for individuals with intellectual and or developmental disabilities. And they'll benefit from an OPWDD award. Reagan Development Corporation will be the project sponsor and developer. Community Services for Everyone, Inc., a nonprofit organization, will be the project supported service provider and will participate in the project as a co-owner via the HTFC entity. Regan's Affordable Housing issued a letter of intent to purchase the low-income housing tax credits, state low-income housing tax credits, and brownfield tax credits included in the deal. And then JP Morgan Chase will be a letter of credit provider.
Thank you, Emilio. Questions? Will?
Okay, I'll note that the chairman and Ms. Young-Watkins have recused themselves from this vote. This matter is before the HFA board, the HFA Finance and Program Committee, and the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee only, again, as it's below the threshold and not before the full Sunny Mae board. Now before those bodies are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Put the threshold amount on record, please.
Thank you.
Gary, it's $2 million, is that right?
Sorry,
What's the threshold for mortgage insurance committee review versus?
$2 million to $6,999,999. $7 million again, that's more than.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, 21 Jordan Gardens, City of Niagara Falls, Niagara County, and Emilio, Russell, and Gary are up again.
Great. Jordan Gardens will use the agency's investment to finance the acquisition and rehabilitation of 23 townhouse-style residential buildings and 1 community building in the city of Niagara Falls, comprising of 100 units of affordable housing. All units will be covered under Section 8 PBV Housing Assistance Payment Contract issued under the guidelines of HUD, RAD, and Section 8 disposition programs for public housing authorities. And the contract will be administered by HCR. The scope of work is categorized as moderate rehab 2. The project scope of work includes necessary site work, roof and window replacement, exterior insulation, material upgrades, and building repairs for improved envelope performance. Apartment improvements include, but are not limited to, fully upgraded kitchens, replaced flooring, fully upgraded baths, door and lighting improvements, energy efficiency upgrades, including transition to all electric, installation of HVAC system, and replacement of any other outdated systems. Beacon Communities will be providing the construction completion guarantees required for the project, and Niagara Falls Housing Authority will be the long-term owner. So Beacon is really operating as a turnkey developer in the transaction.
Thank you, Emilio. Questions? Will?
Okay, this item is for the HFA and the HTFC boards, in addition to the HFA Finance and Program Committee, and again, just the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee. Now, before those bodies are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motions and seconds previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Okay, 22 River 2 Apartments, City of New York, Brown County, and Russell and Gary will present this item.
Yeah, and I'd like to introduce Sally Terreros, our newest Assistant Vice President, who's going to be presenting as well.
Good morning.
Thank
Good
you.
morning. Thank you.
River 2 Apartments is seeking our investment to acquire land and build a 20-story mixed-use building in the Bronx, just 3 blocks from Yankee Stadium in the West Concourse neighborhood. The development will include 292 affordable units, 10,000 square feet of amenities, 8,000 square feet of commercial space and tenant storage in the cellar, and 20,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, which will be financed separately. Of the 292 residential units, 173 will be supportive units for individuals with disability, veterans, and those at risk of homelessness. This includes 70 units funded by an E-Shy award from the New York State Office of Mental Health and 103 units with New York City 1515 assistance. Community Access will provide the services for all supportive units. The project is located in a mandatory inclusionary housing zone and benefits from zoning allowance under New York City's City of Yes initiative. It complements the adjacent River 1 project, the first phase of which we closed in 2019, and shares similar supportive elements. Community Access owns, manages, and is a service provider for both projects. Amenities will include a community room with a commercial kitchen, an exercise room, laundry, a computer room, and tenant lounges. The rooftop will feature green space for urban farming and recreation above the ground floor commercial area. Sustainability features include air water heat pumps for domestic water heating and VRF systems for heating and cooling. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Great. Thank you, Sally, and welcome. Any
Thank you.
questions?
The exact location, again?
1185 River Avenue. So it's right by the 4 train of 167th Street.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's right up the street from me, yes, okay.
cool.
Spring Bank.
How does this building address the issues that the residents are having as far as a high cost right now? Because right now, a home is like $618,000. So housing the individuals there, how is the community taking it? Because I understand they're initiating TOPA against this particular building.
Not sure about that.
This is a new construction, so it wouldn't be TOPA.
It's a new construction project.
Super cool. Go down to the, it's right next to the,
It's restricted, right?
The
units are restricted,
Yes.
so I assume the community would welcome
30
it.
to 80% AMI.
Yeah.
are you sure?
Yeah.
James, did you have a question?
This is a vacant site?
Yeah, there's a parking lot that we're gonna be using for the building that they're gonna be acquiring to build the new project.
And how many apartments are gonna be there?
292.
Any other questions? Okay, well,
Let me just note first for the record, back on item 20, Amherst Commons, that Ms. McEwen had recused herself from that vote. Now we are on to item 22. This is before the HFA, HTFC, and SONYMA boards, also before the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. Resolutions transmitted in connection with this item before those bodies, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Great, thank you. Item 23, South Mall Towers, City of Albany, Albany County, and Russell and Gary will present this item.
Hey, Gary. All right, South Mall Towers, substantial rehabilitation of 2 residential buildings that are both over 50 years old in downtown Albany. 19-story tower with 240 units and 9-story tower with 107 units. The project is HUD-regulated housing. Most of the residents are seniors and or handicapped or disabled tenants who earn at or below 60% of the AMI up there. 315 of the total 347 units receive project-based Section 8 rental assistance through the HUD HAP contract. Residents also benefit from senior services through LifePath organization, which is also known as the Senior Services of Albany. The project has been owned and managed since its creation in 1974 by Samalto Housing Company. They're a nonprofit Current president is Gary Halleck. Gary was a former HCR employee many moons ago. As the agency does not typically employ volume cap tax-exempt bonds and 4% credits on rehabilitation projects, we rather save that resource for our new construction initiatives. Here, this project will be receiving a combination of recycled tax-exempt bonds that are paired with our state tax credits and with some senior preservation subsidy, as well as a healthy dose of clean energy initiative funding that will help to cover some costs that are beyond the typical rehabilitation towards a higher energy efficient, sustainable model for years to come. Those energy efficiency measures include full conversion to electric heating, cooling, and domestic hot water systems, roof and window replacement, Energy Star appliances, and overall energy use reduction, which is estimated at nearly 35%. That's well above our agency's minimum requirement of 20% on rehabilitation. Other major rehab costs we identified through an IP&A that we require on rehab includes overhaul of the plumbing and electrical systems, outside facade repairs, inside flooring, bathroom and kitchen upgrades, new elevators, and remediation of asbestos. Financing goes, M&T will be the syndicator of the state tax credits, which is at 73 cents on the dollar, which is a fairly decent price these days with a sole New York State investor. M&T will also provide the credit enhancement on our recycled bonds during construction, and SONYMA will be providing the insurance on the permanent mortgage loan. Lastly, the project expects to fully meet its MWBE and SDBOB goals, which total 36% of the total amount of permanent financing that we're putting into the project. Thank you.
Thanks, Russell. Questions? Well,
Okay, I'll note for the record the chairman has recused himself from this vote. This is before the HFA, HTFC, and SONYMA boards, in addition to the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. Resolutions transmitted in connection with this item before those bodies, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thanks, Gary.
thank you. Okay, item 24, Harbor House YWCA, City of Schenectady, Schenectady County. Russell, you must be getting tired, but you're up again.
I'm good. Yeah, Gary left. This does not involve SONYMA mortgage insurance. This is an HFA item. So it's a rather unique and compelling project in the City of Schenectady's historic Stockade District. It involves one of its oldest and long-standing organizations, the YWCA of Northeastern New York. They've been serving the community there since 1888. The YWCA owns a building at 44 Washington Avenue, originally built in 1930. It now houses 42 units, single-room occupancy units, and a 3-story elevator building. The residents are survivors of domestic violence. These tenants receive supportive services through the New York State Supportive Housing Program through the Department of Health. The building will be substantially renovated, and all units will be furnished with kitchens and bathrooms converted to full electrification and meet the agency's stretch goals for substantial rehab sustainability measures. Tenants will be temporarily relocated off-site during the renovations, and all will have a right to return upon completion. Simultaneously with the rehab, a new second building is going to be constructed behind the existing building where there is currently a small parking lot and a tennis court. This new building will be 4 stories with an elevator, house 54 units, and allow the YWCA to expand its supportive program. These units will receive supportive services through an ESHI award administered by the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. When complete, the 2 buildings will share amenities, including an outdoor patio, gymnasium with a fitness program, laundry rooms, community space, and the service offices. On-site parking will be reconfigured from the existing lot. The YWCA here is partnering with Zenolith Partners, which is a certified women-owned business, to develop the project. The YWCA will continue to maintain legal ownership of the property through a 99-year ground lease to the newly formed partnership, which will benefit from state tax credits that we're putting into the project that are being syndicated by the National Equity Fund. Webster Bank will be providing a construction loan. The agency's resources to the project will include a Home American Rescue Plan grant through our HTFC colleagues, Section 8 project-based rental assistance for 8 units, and the Clean Energy Initiative funding, as well as HFA's own supportive housing opportunity program, or SHOP subsidy. The project is also leveraging home ARP funds from Schenectady County, HHAP funds from OTDA, in addition to the ESHI award, as well as $2.4 million of the sponsor's own funding. And lastly, the project expects to fully meet its MWBE and SDVOB goals, total 36% of the total state permanent financing that's going into the project. So thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Russell. Questions? Will?
This item is before the HFA and the HTFC boards. Resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Great, thank you. Item 25, Bay Ridge Towers, City of New York, and Russell, last one.
Okay, last but definitely not least, Bay Ridge Towers was constructed as Mitchell-Lama Cooperative Housing in 1971 in the Bay Ridge section of Brooklyn. The entire property is built on concrete columns with a superstructure that's directly above the tracks of the Long Island Railroad Bay Ridge branch. Why they designed buildings like this, I could not tell you. But it's problematic, and this is why I'm here today. The superstructure is comprised of the two residential towers. There are 28 stories and 30 towers that sit on top of the superstructure, and then there's parking plazas on either side of the residential towers that sit over the rail yard. The project is state supervised Mitchell-Lama Cooperative Housing, organized under Article 2. The owner is Bay Ridge Air Rights Incorporated, a mutual housing company owned and controlled by the shareholders of the co-op. Total 811 units in these two towers. They're pretty massive. Regulated Mitchell-Lama housing, the cooperative units are occupied by low and moderate income households whose common monthly charges equate to an average of approximately 30% to 40% of the AMI for New York City. The property is currently in need of several capital improvements. The parking plazas that provide over 500 spaces of parking for residents are currently subject to a vacate order by the DOB. The residential buildings are currently subject to a partial vacate order on the outside balconies due to the poor condition of the facade in many of these balconies. An IP&A assessment, physical needs assessment, and unit by unit inspections, many of the building components are in need of replacement and repair to extend the useful life and increase the energy efficiency of the building. Because it's a co-op, in-unit repairs are typically financed by the co-op owners, so we don't go into the units themselves. It's usually for these types of projects, it's outside common areas or facade type of work. There will be a limited amount of in-unit work because of the plumbing and electrical systems that connect into the units, but generally these will not be, we're not really going into the units themselves. The major capital exterior improvements are the emergency shoring of these parking platforms. That's the most critical need right now. And then their further repair will be addressed. Local 11 brick facade and balcony repairs to the residential towers need to be completed. And then, as I mentioned, plumbing and electrical system repairs and upgrades, a replacement of the sanitary risers, a new electrical switch gear room, and some in-unit electrical panel upgrades to connect. So this is basically going to be able to occur with tenants in place because, again, there will be limited intrusion into the individual units, and the total rehab scope is expected to take about 36 months. HFA would be providing a subsidy loan for approximately $45 million to cover these needs. The project will seek additional outside financing for their long-term capital needs, including the permanent repair of the parking plaza once that has been safely shored out and fully scoped. An interim application for a budget-based increase on the co-op owners' common charges will be assessed to help cover their long-term cash flow needs to support the additional financing. Lastly, the development and project team features two minority and women-owned entities, including the development consultant, Development Advisors is a certified women-owned business. Monica McCullough and Jen Kaminsky are pairing for this development on that. And A1 Paris is one of the two general contractors. They are a New York State certified minority-owned business enterprise. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Russell. So the total development cost of $89,000 a unit is reflective of the fact that it's really just exterior or foundational type improvement. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. With some related soft costs that are related to the architect and engineering fees and things like that.
Okay.
So there are no particular safety concerns during his 36 months of construction for the current residents?
Not within the tenant units, no. I mean, the safety concerns have to do with the parking plazas.
Right.
And some of the balconies, which are not accessible. But that's the extent of the emergency work.
So if no work was done at all, people could still live there, they just couldn't use the garage, I guess, and that kind of thing?
Correct, yeah. The short-term critical needs, such as the electrical and plumbing, they're not safety concerns. They're just your typical rehab scope. But the shoring, by the way, is almost complete as we speak. They started this back in May, and they're about 75% done with the emergency shoring of the parking.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So, quick question. Mitchell Lama might not be the best project to ask this question on, but do you do an evaluation for existing buildings in New York City of local law 97 compliance and what it would take to get buildings into compliance with local law 97? I don't know if Mitchell Lamas are exempt at this point, but
I don't think they're exempt. And I know that came up on our Fulton Plaza project that we closed back in August, where they are, part of the scope is in preparation for local law 97. I assume that, I don't know if there's any exemption in this particular building, but I think they're all would need to be in preparation.
I think it's just a consideration for the agency. So for members of the board that don't know, local law 97 is the law that requires buildings to reduce their carbon emissions. And you can do that through a number of different mechanisms, whether electrifying the heating systems or driving real efficiency in buildings. And it has real economic impacts because the fines are calculated based on the amount of carbon above a certain amount you pay for those additional emissions. And on these very marginally economic buildings, future impacts from local law 97 fines should be considered when we're looking at the underwriting of the project. So maybe it's something else that the innovation committee can take a look at.
James, you're gonna be busy.
Just raised the construction price to 1.5 million.
Well, I agree. It's a can of worms a little bit because the costs are so high, and so is the cost to do the work more of an economic impact than the fines associated with not doing the work? But we should be able to have an analysis that tells us one way or the other. Not specific to this project, but just as a general comment, I think it's something the agency should be thinking about. And maybe Samantha is already on it.
It's also the same thing, like, for example, like 10 million or 9 million into the electrical system upgrades, for example, like if a lot of that's around like, hey, we're switching out the stoves to induction. NYCHA's piloting things right now with induction stoves that run on 120 that have battery backup, and they may be slightly more expensive, but they're less than 10,000 per unit that we're pacing on electricity upgrades too. So I just thinking through theoretically there's new and evolving equipment that's, NYCHA is actually pretty much on the forefront of a lot of this stuff too, which is we can maybe piggyback on.
Yeah. One of the big discussions around local law 97 is if we just get to a lot of the really big projects and reduce, like we can do so much more in a big project than death by 1,000 cuts through smaller buildings. So this would be considered, and all of Mitchell Lama portfolio would be considered the really big buildings. And so it's just something that we need to be very aware of and really thoughtful about, because the economics get impacted one way or the other.
Right. Okay, thank you. Anything else on Bay Ridge? Okay, well.
This is before the HFA board, resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
Their way. Yeah, and Brett and an architect.
All right, thank you. Next item is.
Where that we tabled.
We're going to come back to it.
Okay.
I think, so Brett Hebner and an architect from the architecture team are coming back into the Hampton conference room. They should be there in a minute or two, and they can, and we can go back to Steamboat if we want to.
We'll take the next item and then we'll come back. 696 Hopkins Street, Buffalo, Erie County, and Burke Blackman, Director of Distressed Asset Initiatives, will present this item. This was in the supplemental material.
It's Madeline again. Hi. This is a request. This is a request to use just over $800,000 in small building participation loan program funding for the acquisition and gut rehab of a 2-building, 6-unit apartment project with a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units on Hopkins Street in the South Buffalo neighborhood of Buffalo. Rents will be affordable at no more than 80% AMI, and there is one current occupant, and he will have a rent increase of no more than 5%. Project financing includes a construction and permanent loan of just over $340,000 from CPC, a $75,000 ARP grant from Erie County and Equity. The developer principal, the construction company, and the property management firm are all MBEs, a combination of certified and non-certified. We are happy to recommend this project.
Thanks, Madeline. Questions? Okay, Will?
Now before the yes, please, sorry. Okay. Note that Ms. McEwen has recused herself from this vote. And now before the HFA board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Great, thanks. We're now going to go back to item 16, Steamboat Square, Phase 2, City of Albany, Albany County. And Russell, right, Russell
Brett and.
Russell and Brett, and I guess an architect. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tae. I'm the Upstate Design Unit Director. I'm here to answer any question related to the Steamboat Phase 1.
Thank you, Tay. Appreciate that. I don't know,
Sure.
James Freeman, do you want to maybe just repeat your question that you had about the work at Phase 1?
Yeah, phase 1, that project that's the one that's built on top of the pond, a former pond?
No, that whole area is already existing, Albany Housing Authority Tower. So I'm not aware of that was previous pond.
Okay.
But did you have a question about the work that was done at Phase 1, James?
Yeah, there were no reported building issues or anything with phase 1?
So the project went smoothly. What I heard was during their geothermal work, they got accidentally hit the city water line by accident, which was not mapped on the utility map. But that issue was resolved within 24 hours. So other than that, I'm not aware of any major issues on the Phase 1 project.
So there was no complaints from residents or anything regarding that? And there were no issues regarding the state as far as the building, as far as the geological study, as far as the building having issues where it was built?
That's I can open the can of worms, but the Phase 1 was Steamboat housing, the location wise, it's there has been a lot of discussion. So when that project came in for funding application for multiple times, we had a lot of discussion within the agency. Best to my knowledge, it passed our environmental review, and any design measures that we implement in the project was to address any concern to the adjacency to 787 and other matters. To answer your first question, if there was any complaint from the residents, I may have to look up a little bit further because it was occupied rehab, which is always challenging. But we always do have a tenant safety plan to address any safety issues or inconvenient issue. But while this industry practice standard to have the model rehab, some tenant could have find it is inconvenient to them, which is nature of the construction project.
And obviously for Phase 2 that Russell is presenting to the board for approval, also occupied rehab. Russell, right? I don't know if you want to talk about any of that.
Sure. I mean, it's a larger scale project than Phase 1. According to the developer, there was no stop work orders issued on that Phase 1 or any sinkholes or any formal complaints from any of the tenants on that particular project. Let me see if I have to dig up my relocation information on Phase 2. They are keeping a purposeful amount of units offline in order to checkerboard tenants. That's typically how rehabs are done as units become online. they are occupied, and then they do another batch of units until the project is complete. I'm not sure if I have anything that's outside of that typical process here, but that's typically how these things are done.
James, any other specific questions on the phase 2 project?
Yeah, the phase 2 is gonna be the existing portion of it.
Phase 1
rehab
was a
or
rehab of
construction.
existing, they
Yeah,
both
it's
are
all rehab. They're reconfiguring some units where they're going to be turning some studios into 1-bedrooms in some of the towers where they're going to be expanding units because of the market demand for larger units. But there's no new construction going on.
And it wasn't built on a existing water property that was there.
No, I'm just looking to see if there's anything in the environmental report that speaks to that. No, they're going to be doing like a geothermal construction around the property, which requires some ground intrusion, but there's nothing in terms of the of any identified contamination or remediation.
Okay, and so Russell, while you're looking for that, I guess just to the extent that there are any issues that you uncover that would be from phase 1 that would be of impact to phase 2, you can just report back to the board. Otherwise, I think we can move forward.
Okay, I'll note for the record that the chairman is recusing himself from this vote. This item is before the HFA, HTFC, and SONYMA boards, in addition to the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. Before those bodies are resolutions transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously reported, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, thank you. Item 27, Second Avenue home ownership, City of Amsterdam, Montgomery County, and Madeline, you are up again.
Hi there. Yes, this project, the Second Avenue Homeownership Project, is a proposal to utilize approximately $3.2 million of AHP subsidy to develop 16 single-family homes across an existing 2.5-acre vacant site in the City of Amsterdam. The homes will be built by the Urban Redevelopment Group, a certified MBE, led by Fred Dargist, who is also heads up construction for the Albany Habitat for Humanity, who does some amazing work. The project will utilize modular construction, so we see some hard cost savings here, with a company called Bill Lake Modular Homes, who manufactures the building components right in Montgomery County itself. So we're super excited about the local nature of this project. It's expects to be complete around December 2026. And there is a $2.5 million CPC construction loan here that will be paid off through sales proceeds. There are also ESD infrastructure funds that Fred has worked with the city to secure. Better Community Neighborhoods, Inc. will help qualify buyers, and the homes for sale will be between $166,000 and $180,000. This reflects about a 17% discount to market and is affordable at just over 70% AMI. We are pleased for URG to work on this project and happy to recommend it.
Great, thanks. Madeline, any questions? Will?
This item is before the HFA board. Oh, sorry.
Recuse.
Oh, please. This item is before the HFA board. I'll note that Ms. McEwen has recused herself from this vote. Resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Okay, thank you. Item 28, Rochester Roots, City of Rochester, Monroe County, and Madeline, you are up again.
Okay, Rochester Roots is a similar proposal to develop 15 single-family 3-bedroom homes clustered in the Girsana neighborhood in the northwest corner of the city of Rochester. A total of $3.3 million in AHP subsidy has been requested to support this project with a total development cost of about $9.7 million. The project team includes Rochester's Cornerstone Group, as well as the Rochester Land Bank Corporation. The homes have been designed to reach zero energy ready criteria, so they are eligible for a bit of a funding bump here. It will also, this status will lower cost of ownership over time. The project will complement other initiatives in the neighborhood. Rochester Cornerstone Group has some tax credit housing. Habitat for Humanity, Greater Rochester Housing Partnership have also been working on homeownership improvements in the neighborhood. In addition to a construction loan by Tompkins Community Bank, who has partnered with us on other AHAB projects, the project has secured a lot of other local and state resources, funding from the ESL Foundation, NYSERDA, and the City of Rochester is also funding home and ARPA awards. These sources allow us to reach an even deeper affordability than we typically are able to with this program. These homes will be affordable between 50 and 60% AMI, with the pricing around 116 to 139,000. And we're happy to recommend this one as well.
Great. Thank you, Madeline. Will?
Yeah, I just want to note, I mean, obviously, I think, Madeline, you indicated the first one was being done with modular, but just seeing the difference, I mean, these are 3 and 4 bedroom. This is a almost $230,000 per difference unit, which is like a third of the project cost. So just thinking about when we talk about project cost and innovation, like this is an example of 2 side-by-side cases where you can see where innovations in construction technique can play a big difference.
It does. It really does. And we did, this one was sort of on the expensive side and is with a contractor doing other projects. We really did try to drill down here. He was very concerned when this pricing was coming in about the impact tariffs we're going to have, you know, on supply, on pricing and stuff like that. So if there are in the end savings to be had, we will see those costs go down a little bit. But again, I think it is a stark difference when you do look at the, you know, the opportunities emerging for modular.
Great, thanks. Will?
Okay, I'll note that the chairman has recused himself from this vote. This item is before the HFA board, a resolution transmitted in connection with it. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
Great, thank you. 29, Seneca Lincoln Correctional Facility, City of New York. Madeline?
Yep. The Seneca at West 110th Street reflects a request for $18,730,000 in AHAB subsidy to support the construction of a cooperative building containing 105 units, including a supers unit, on the site of the former Lincoln Correctional Facility at West 110th Street and Central Park North. That building will be demolished and a new passive building will be constructed. Pricing will range from $243,000 to $448,000 across the units and serve households between 80 and 100% AMI. The project prioritizes family units and will include 47 2-bedroom and 19 3-bedroom units for sale. The building is, as I said, designed to meet passive house standards, which will, while it adds to a premium on the construction side, will result in long-term lower operating utility costs, which will help reduce the cost of ownership for purchasers. The developer was selected through an Empire State Development RFP process, and it reflects a joint venture between 4 groups: Infinite Horizons, L&M Development Partners, Urbane Development Group, and Lemoore, 3 of which are MBE firms. M&T Bank will serve as a participating construction lender for the project. In addition to their $30 million construction loan, the project will also have an open door investment of $37 million. And there will also be a small investment by NYSERDA for buildings of excellence. We are happy to recommend this project.
I have one comment. I just want to point out that while the passive construction does cost more upfront, it completely erases local law 97 compliance issues going forward, electric buildings like this, as well as mitigates ongoing local law 11 compliance because the exteriors are not constructed in the same way with masonry. So though it is expensive upfront, it is well worth it over time, particularly in a project where it's homeownership. So I just wanted to make that point. And often now when buildings are looking at, and this is just for the agency's ears too, when you're looking at a building that you're doing local law 11, sometimes it's really smart to do 11 and 97 at the same time because you get more efficiency in the overall cost and much better bang for the buck ongoing related to the ongoing cost of both. So I'll stop talking about green now.
Thank you, Sadie. Thank you, Madeline. Any other questions? Will?
Now before the HFA board, the resolution transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
Great, thanks. 30, 302
We
to
are-
306. Sorry?
And Chair, Chairman, we're pulling item 30 as well.
It's related to the other one, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, item 31, fiscal year 2023 DFS annual examination of SONYMA report and management responses. And Neem Babieva is up again.
Designing for that. This is 30. All local compliances. Bring it all together.
So this is about annual examination that Department of Financial Services performs over SONYMA's operations every year, according to Public Authority Laws article. So for 2023, they conducted their routine annual examination that included SONYMA operations and supporting departments. Plus, they looked at 21 purchase loan files to see the compliance with the regulations and policies and procedures. So the report went to the board members as a separate item because the content belongs to the Department of Financial Services. And as a summary of the results, I can say that they have a scale of 5, they assess us based on the scale of 5, which is 1 strong, 2 satisfactory, 3 fair, marginal 4, and unsatisfactory 5. So based on their assessment, we got satisfactory grading for all our departments, which includes financial condition and liquidity, internal control, internal audit, legal regulatory compliance, management, system and technology. The only area that they rated us fair was system and technology, and the reason for that is that for the moment of examination, we still did not perform a disaster recovery test. But we completed it after the examination. So for this year, which is currently happening, the year 24 examination is currently happening. So we really hope that they will give a satisfactory score to our IT team as well. Other than that, I'm ready to cover any questions if you have.
My question, I guess, on that finding was, I think at one point, and I know obviously I'm not on the SONYMA board, but SONYMA was out of the scope of BAM, and emphasis is like probably the existing system. I assume that eventually updating of SONYMA systems will ultimately end up supporting that audit finding.
For now, it's hard to say because when SAP was implemented, SONYMA operations was not part of the consideration. Yeah, so SONYMA is still using this emphasis as their main system.
Yeah.
Though it is subject for update, I think it might be separate software that will be considered for that update.
Thanks, Henry. Anything else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That goes to the question of what you were asking, what they can do better. That was the independent audit that was reviewed. And that's one of the things that they said that can be done better. And then also the technology side, that can be updated. And then also the amount of information that the board actually receives, that should be done every year, which hadn't been done for a while. That is one of the things they said could be done better as well.
No,
Can you-
absolutely, it is. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. So we can comment on the technology piece because we have an update there. Oh, is Tom there? Oh, do you want Tom come to the? Is he there, like in the room?
Yes.
Oh, so we can talk about the SONYMA technology if that's helpful. If you're since raising it, and then I was just going to ask James. I'm not sure what information. I don't know if we just couldn't hear if you said specifically that the board that you want.
I was
Oh, not me. Different James. Go for it. I
Which-
need not. I need
which
not.
James?
I need.
Oh,
not,
no,
I don't.
sorry,
I don't.
James
I,
Dean.
I have no needs.
No,
Well,
it was the information
that's a
that was in
different
the
topic.
report.
Sorry, Tom, go ahead. Tom, do you want to just talk about the SONYMA technology plan?
So, yeah, we're preparing to do an RFP with the SONYMA team to replace their current technology platform. They don't operate on SAP. They had a bunch of unique needs that SAP wasn't a good solution for, and so they continue to use their.
Could you speak a little bit louder?
Sorry, they continue to use their current system and are now putting an RFP together to replace their current system.
Does that tie in at all? And this, I'm sure, revealing my lack of knowledge in the area, but we were talking earlier about the whole AI business. Does that tie in at all to what you're talking about now?
In what sense?
Well, that's my question.
Can we-
I would think that it does in some sense, right? Or if it's no, then no, I guess. But it goes back to what we were saying before, though, that somehow this organization needs to be more engaged on the AI issue because it's moving faster than what New York State timelines go in terms of these evaluations.
AI development is moving very fast. I agree with your assessment that despite that, AI is still very much in its infancy. And the state has, I think, put together a quite prudent policy on using AI to ensure that it's used effectively, but not in a way that, potentially harms New York State citizens. There's, for as many positive use cases of AI that there are, there's probably infinitely more negative use cases of how it's being used today. And one thing that it's really not good at is context. And so you ask it a question and it tells you an answer based on whatever data sources it's looking at, most of which could be on the internet, and we all know what kind of information is on the internet. So we are actively looking at AI and ways to apply it. We're trying to look at it from the opposite perspective and identify where we have problems or inefficiencies, and then identify the tools that can help address those problems and inefficiencies, as opposed to just saying, hey, I've got AI, what problem can I solve, right? So to look at it from the problem perspective and look for a solution, rather than look at it from the solution perspective and look for problems. So for all the technology implementations that we're working on now, AI is a component of what we're looking at. There are some examples where we're starting to use it in, I'll say, limited sort of cautionary ways. But it is a component of, every technology vendor wants to tout their AI because it's kind of the shiny new object. How real it is today and how well it can be implemented is very much debatable, to be honest.
Okay, thank you.
So the RFP.
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead, Bea.
Other state agencies are really at the forefront in terms of their implementation of AI policy and practice, right? Has the state done an oversight of who's playing in the field and how well it's going for them as a way of learning? Because one aspect could be, is there enough? Does it make sense for this set of agencies to create its own chatbot instead of letting the agency get information from external sources? I'm just thinking, these are the conversations that I'm having at other boards. That's why I'm asking questions.
Yep. So two things. I think you sort of asked two questions in there. The state in general and Information Technology Services, which is the technology services arm or the agency within the state, has come out with a AI use policy that is meant to cover all state agencies. And we can certainly share that policy with you. Again, I think it's quite a prudent policy for the state. So the state has sort of outlined what an AI use policy is. In terms of some use cases, you mentioned the chatbot one, and that's the one that I was actually referring to. We are currently implementing an AI chatbot feature in the newly implemented housing search solution that was just recently went live. We've We started out with a chat feature or a telephone feature for people to call in and ask questions about, mostly about how do I do certain things on the new housing search solution. And what we found was that 80 to 90% of the questions that the applicants were asking, we had already written policy documentation for. And so now we're taking, and this is one thing that AI is really good at, is it can take documents and actually answer questions based on understanding what's in the document. And so we're implementing a chatbot so that we don't have to have a human being answer the phone call or respond to an email when an applicant has a question. We're pretty confident, based on the population of questions that we've already understood are coming in, that the chatbot will be able to automatically answer them.
Yeah, one of the benefits of that is you'll get consistency for those questions, as opposed to, variability depending on who answers the question.
Absolutely, right. Two sort of obvious benefits. One is we don't need to devote human time to answering those calls and questions. And two, as you say, is the consistency of the response.
Well, thank you, because that example was very helpful.
If a person still remains frustrated and really wants to talk to a person, they still can. Okay. It's usually me.
Yeah, my accent will not work with the vote.
I haven't had that experience.
Me too.
But on the RFP side, you said it's now being implemented for SONYMA to be moved from the SAP side?
Well,
so not move. So SAP is still the general ledger for SONYMA, but for all the loan origination and loan processing functionality, SAP wasn't a good fit for that. And so they have a current solution from a company called Emphasis, and we're actually on.
Tom, sorry, do you want to just explain the back end, front end? So on Emphasis, we're doing a sole source on the SONYMA Express. We're going to go out with an RFP, right? Sorry, maybe we're getting there, but I'm not sure that it's clear that there are actually two systems supporting SONYMA.
So the loan origination, loan processing component or process is supported by a front end and a back end. The front end being sort of the portal, front facing, externally facing portal that applicants can apply to. That is an RFP that's going out to find a new solution or upgrade the current solution. And then the back-end solution, which is what we really use for internally processing the loan applications, again, is the system that I was referring to from a company called Emphasis. We're on an outdated version of it, and so we're doing a sole source, as Betsy pointed out, to effectively just upgrade that system to its latest version.
And that's the form functionality. That doesn't include the website portion of it, right?
So the website portion is the first component of that I talked about, which is the RFP.
Okay. Are we tracking on the front side of it where people are having problems, they're dropping out, or
not in the current
what
solution
issues they need?
Yeah, please. Darrell's much more knowledgeable about this than I am.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
So,
morning.
yes,
Morning.
SONYMA has two platforms. The external platform, which is not direct to consumer, is to our lending partner, and that is the one where we will be doing an RFP to improve that system. And the back end, which is Emphasis, is our system of record, of which we have a 1989 version, which is we're in the process of doing a sole source to improve that to the current web-based version.
And none of these systems, as far as across the board, are integrated. They're all pretty much separate.
So the front end and the back end systems are integrated.
For SONYMA.
For SONYMA.
Right.
But they are not integrated with SAP. We have a separate platforms for that.
Right. So that's why when we ask for reports, they're always a different report because it's not integrated.
That is correct. And the 1989 system, which generates all of our reports, is quite archaic. It can take as much as 36 hours to get a comprehensive report.
Right. Does the upgrade in the RFP also include investment on the DECO side? Because they're actually still using Excel.
So not for the SONYMA platform. So the two SONYMA platforms, the front end deals directly with our participating lenders who do all of the application intake and approve the loans. Our back end system is our system of record. It also completes the purchase of the loan. So it does not integrate with any sort of vendor or deco. It does have information on demographics about who we lend to and how much we lend to and on how much grants and subsidy we give each applicant. And that we can extract that through the, or rather archaic system. And so there will be improvement that will allow us to do reporting in more real time.
How soon are you looking to implement it? And if so, what blackout period are you looking to do for the integration of the new system?
So we will run the old system or the existing system and the new system parallel until we know that the new system is successful. We do not anticipate any blackout period for this upgrade. And as for the timing, ideally yesterday, but at least that's my wish. But we do anticipate that it's something that can be completed in under a year. I'm probably promising too much.
No, I think that's reasonable.
Is the funding for the RFP in this year's budget?
So yes, we did. This has been long anticipated, and so there is funding for the back end system that's already in place.
So what about the funding for the upgrades that we had put in place for the current system? We're not going to follow through with that. We're going to look to move into the new system.
I think it's the same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So these are great questions and a good conversation. Thank you, Darrell and Tom, for joining. I would say just to bring us back, but don't get up quite yet, Tom, to bring us back to the question addressed in the DFS audit around the IT rating. That actually wasn't about the SONYMA Express system so much as, this emphasis system so much as just our disaster recovery testing. And as Haneem said, and Tom could speak more to, that's been completed. So though our grade reflects something, it's just a time lapse issue or a timing issue.
Yeah, I think it was just a timing thing, right? We're talking about the 2023 audit, right? So it was just a time. I think the DR test was actually conducted in 23, but after the examination period of that audit cycle.
And the other part was the reporting portion of it.
Reporting portion was more about the investment reports that were delayed, and they marked it as a deficiency in their report. And they requested that we include like special exclusion article in our procedures that our lawyers do not accept as a, like, we do not put exclusions into the policies rather than like, if it happens, it happens. And it was allowed by the state, by the governor's office. So that's why we were not in violation with the, let's say, any state legislation, but due to the system transition, we were a little bit delayed with the investment reports.
Yeah, two separate things, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because one is the reporting side of it, the other part was the disaster relief recovery portion of it. But in that reporting side of it, they noted that the agency needed to report to the board when there's a gap in that information being provided from the agency to board members. So that was a part of why it received the 2 as well.
Yeah, not only report to the board, they insisted that it will be part of our procedures.
On an
that
annual
if we
basis.
are late,
Right.
then we will act on it accordingly.
On an annual basis, in certain instances in 45 days.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'd like to move on. Okay, Will, do we need a vote
So
on this?
we're now in the consent portion of the agenda. That was the only presentation that was planned for the consent items 31 through 42. And as our recent practice, we would propose to have one vote acknowledging all the different bodies for items 31 through 42. If any board members have particular items that they want to vote no on or recuse on the consent agenda, please let us know.
Okay, Tim, call for the motion.
Okay. Now before the boards and committees that are listed in the agenda for items 31 through 42 respectively are resolutions transmitted in connection with these items, assuming the motions and seconds previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great, thank you. Item 43, the DECO update, and Tamika.
Yes, Tamika is here, and so is Chino and Kunkel just joining the table. As we have been talking about for quite some time, we have been in the process of bringing on, since Carrie Torres left, a new head of the department, and Chino just started last week, and so happy to have her and Tamika here today together. And Chino was going to introduce herself to the board and describe her background, all that. We're very delighted to have her start with us.
Great, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I'm very excited to be here in the flesh, right? Because I've been watching this for a long time, because I've been with HCR for a while, which you'll hear in a second. It's a different experience because I hear my voice echoing. But anyway, so good morning, members of the board. I am Chino Okonkwo. I am honored to be with you today in my 8th day. So please know it's only 8 days in. All right, so be gentle. As the Vice President of the Department of Empowerment, Compliance, and Opportunity, DECO. In just over a week, I've had the privilege of meeting with our DECO team, which is absolutely amazing, many leaders across the agency, and I've been struck by the depth of knowledge and their shared commitment to advancing the governor's housing goals and supporting our MWBE and SDVOB participation. Housing is foundational to the strength of New York's communities, and I'm excited to help expand and strengthen MWBE and SDVOB participation so that economic opportunity and equity remain at the heart of that mission. Although I'm new to this role, I bring over 7 years of experience here at HCR, most recently as the Deputy Director of Applicant Services within RHC. There I supported over 10,000 homeowners through the New York Rising program, overseeing the repair, elevation, reconstruction of their homes. I also led targeted initiatives. 2 of them are really dear to me. The Mount Vernon Healthy Homes Program, which was one of the governor's signature initiatives, helping homeowners eliminate the sewage inflow to their homes. The other one was the Contractor Fraud Restitution Program. So through our HEART program, we enabled over 250 homeowners who were victims of contractor fraud, elevate, repair, and rebuild their homes after Superstorm Sandy. So those are my babies. In addition to my extensive construction experience and disaster recovery work, I have over a decade of experience in nonprofit and community development experience, including my work at Educational Alliance in New York City, where I focus on capacity building and program development and forging public and private partnerships to strengthen services and create new opportunities for neighborhood growth and resilience. Across all of these roles, I've managed compliance and ensured adherence to city, state, and federal guidelines, building strong systems of accountability while advancing equity and opportunity. So to pivot for a moment and speak about DECO overall. So we have a few different key umbrellas and we have a few key priorities. One of them is our engagement. So DECO over the past several months has been engaged in intentional stakeholder engagement to expand equitable access across the housing sector. So we've been going to statewide conferences and expos. A few of them I just wanted to highlight. We attended the New York State Supplier Diversity Expo. We attended the MWBE Advocacy Day, where we engaged with our legislative teams, and the Real Estate Chamber's Emerging Leaders and Market Conference. There we connected with prime contractors, developers, and community partners. On the horizon, we will be attending the New York State Association for Affordable Housing Conference in Rochester. A lot of us are going to be there. And the Empire States Development MWB Expo at CUNY York College, focusing on Queens and Long Island. These engagements allow us to showcase MWBE and SDVOB opportunities, build lasting relationships with housing partners, and gather insight on the evolving market needs. For more details on the current compliance priorities, please see your board materials provided in the packet. So for a moment, I'm going to pivot to looking forward and looking ahead on our vision. So as I look ahead, my vision for DECO builds on three interrelated priorities. One, modernization of data management and compliance. So I've been really excited about the conversations coming up today. Number two, intentional engagement and partnerships. Number three, opportunity creation, making sure we're reducing the barriers to entry for MWBEs and SDVOBs. As part of shaping these priorities, I'm undertaking a deeper dive into New York's MWBE disparity study so I can fully understand the challenges and opportunities ahead and ensure our strategies directly respond to those documented needs. Together, these priorities will enable DECO to advance equity and opportunity while supporting the governor's broader housing and economic development goals. Before I close, I did want to express my deep gratitude, and she's probably gone, I'm not sure. Oh, she is there. Yay! Sorry, I'm really excited. So I've worked at HDR for quite a bit of time, and I know transitioning to different roles, there's some things that I was like, oh, I know how to get in contact with ITS, not a problem. I can help you with that. But there's other things that you just don't know, right? When you come into an organization and you come into a specific role, and really leaning on a team and really having a group of people that you can rely on, that's the way you win, right? So I really wanted to, from the depths of my heart, I know it's just 8 days in, but just thank Tamika. She's been amazing, just absolutely amazing. And she's been a bedrock for DECO. And she has steady leadership and has been our representative internally and externally. And I've been in those meetings externally, and she is, if you could see her, well, all of you guys know her, so you have seen her. She is amazing. I am just deeply happy and just excited to work with her and have her as my partner. So I just wanted to acknowledge her. Yeah, great, thanks. I also wanted to acknowledge Veronica. I got to meet her today. I'm so excited about that. And I know she comes with a breadth of knowledge with our procurements and our process flows. We are going to rock out. We are going to kill it. So I know I shouldn't say that on an official meeting, but I'm really excited about this. I get very jazzed up. I'm very passionate about this work. So in closing, building on this foundation, I look forward to partnering with each of you. Very, very excited about that. I want to listen to your insights and working together. I look forward to us advancing the equitable housing and economic opportunities across New York State. And thank you so much, everyone, for your warm welcome and the opportunity to serve in this role. Very, very excited.
Thanks, Chino. Appreciate that.
Thanks. Great. And now I'm just going to step away so I don't get any questions. Joking. I'm here.
Yes,
But 8 days in.
Good. A couple of things, and just looking at the materials here, for example, and it refers to a WBE allocation of funds, right? Which obviously, if it was a minority firm, it would be listed as a minority firm.
Yeah.
No problems, obviously, with the inclusion of white females involved with this. But we've been having this conversation since I've been on this board, and I would just give you just a quick background, which is I was just doing the math while you were talking about the last 43 years. I've probably been involved either as a government official or as on an advisory board like this half of that time, here in New York State. So I've seen it when nobody wanted to talk about it, and here we're still talking about it, but there's still things that need to be done. Question, in terms of going forward, and I'm certainly not here to put you on the spot, but I just will let you know that some of the concerns we have is that there has to be a better way to get more minority firms involved. And particularly Black and Latino firms, because I know that we have Asian involvement, and I have no problems with that. But somehow, some way, we need to be sure that more of the people who live in this state and have been living in this state in the past have a greater engagement than has been the case with this agency and with all other agencies throughout the state of New York. So just start there and see, in any way that we can be helpful, obviously we'll do so. I'm currently these days I chair department at Medgar Evers College, which of course is in Brooklyn and is a predominantly Black school. And I heard you talking about you're going to be in Queens, I think you said. And but of course the largest number of Black people in the city is in Brooklyn.
I live in Brooklyn.
Okay, well then
I understand.
Yes, so we need to see more, not just in Brooklyn, of course, but throughout the state. And just really hope that we can see some change, I guess, and
Yeah.
change is always good if we're going forward. And so hopefully we'll be able to see that, and to that extent, certainly we'll be supportive. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I really appreciate it and really appreciate hearing about your experience.
Okay,
I
well,
look forward to
hopefully we
working
can
with you.
speak at another point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Gino. Thank you, Tamika.
Thanks, everyone. Truly a pleasure.
Thank you, Tamika. Welcome.
Okay, so that was not an item to be voted on, it was an information item, so we're going to move on. Items, yes, go ahead.
Betsy, the items that we had discussed about DECO as far as the budget and stuff, and the technology side, have those been approved already?
Yeah, there's money in the budget that we approved early, that you approved earlier rather, that would fund that technology.
The technology and the expansion of the department? Because remember in the other one, there was like $150-some thousand that was requested, 650,000. They got like 150 now.
Sorry,
There was a new budget request.
Are you talking about the chief diversity officer budget or the DECO budget?
The DECO budget.
so in the DECO,
Technology side, that's been approved?
Oh.
yeah, there's not, yeah, we can fund the DECO technology requests for, in this upcoming budget that was just approved earlier today at the board.
Okay. And the CDO one has been approved also?
The CDO budget reflects the request that Maurice made to me and the commissioner, which doubles the budget from last year, and it's approximately, I might get the number wrong, it's something like $210,000. But it reflects his requests, which represent, and I've talked about it with the DEI committee as well. His requests are things that would, be overseen by him, and then also things that are funding the priorities of the DEI committee.
And all three are separate? Or they're commingled?
I'm not sure I
Like there's
understand.
a separate budget for DECO, there's a separate one for DEI, there's a separate request for CDO that's been approved, all three of them separately.
No, there's a budget, so we do department budgets. The DEI committee isn't a department, so we have a CDO budget that would fund also DEI work. And then we have a DECO budget, which is a separate department from the Chief Diversity Office.
Okay. All right.
But I've had I've had a number of meetings recently with Maurice and Veronica and Toyce, who are the two co-leads of the DEI committee, to ensure that the priorities of the DEI committee are moving forward and getting funded.
Okay, great. So the, let's see, items 44 through 59 are the last information items. There will be no presentation unless requested. I would like to request that folks take pay particular attention to item 59, the information that was enclosed. There's a lot of detail in that, and that may be the subject of a future discussion item, but for now, it's just an information item, so we will move forward. Before we take a motion to adjourn, I just want to remind everyone that the next meeting is 3 short weeks away from tomorrow on October 9th, and it will be the first afternoon meeting. We'll gather at noon for lunch for those who are interested, and the meeting will start promptly at 12:30 in the afternoon. Will, you want to wrap us up?
Oh,
Thank you, Chairman.
no, I was gonna say, one, congratulations, and two, welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, James. I actually meant to do that, so I appreciate that.
That's right. It's good to be back, or as I told the commissioner, that was understood, so I didn't need to say it, so.
Look forward to a lot of sleepless nights.
I was gonna say, must have had a new baby, right? Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you get to have fun.
Exactly. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor of adjourning the meetings, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. The meetings are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next month.
We did it.
Thank you.